Shooter. Shooter. I got a baby kitten on my lap. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, he is so cute. He's got a little ribbon. And he's just been trying to be comfortable. He's just been trying to relax. And he says, just hold still so I can sleep on your lap. I would just like to sleep here because it's warm. You just hold still so we can nap together. That would make a good plan. But I think he just has FOMO. I think he just likes to hang out because he's afraid of missing out. He follows you into the bathroom because he says, "What's going on in here? Don't leave me. Is there any cat food in here? Are you gonna open up a can of cat food in the bathroom?" No, I'm not. I never have. Never will. But good to see you, buddy. Definitely a great cat. Talks all the time. Oh, all he does is talk. So I can't exactly get to the camera. I guess I can't. Oh, what a day. What a day. No sales today. 0 sales. But after a good day like yesterday, I will take that. I was a little bit stressed out about having enough product here, having enough resin, having enough time to print enough inventory and do product development. So today we are on to product development. Currently on the printer is our angled forward grip. When I came up with my angled forward grip, because I don't say angled forward grip often, I knew that it was a forward angled grip. Okay, in the forward of the trigger, angled grip. Problem was when you make the acronym FAG, you can't do that. It's not a forward angled grip. It's an angle forward grip, and that makes all the difference when you're typing in the acronym. So, if you wonder why we call it an angled forward grip and not a forward angled grip, 2 reasons. One, because it's not a forward angle. It's a rear angled grip forward of the trigger. So, as always, get yourself your appropriate tools and sit down, relax, get comfortable. This is long form content. 2/4/2025 of the year of our Lord. Thank you. Thank you indeed. 3:30 a.m. on the 4th. Cheers to you. was a good one. A little bit of a throat tickler. Really creamy, earthy, extra grape. Oh, there's so much grape in it. Ugh. I've had some cheese from Greenhouse Seeds that was like Fruity Pebbles and green grapes. This stuff is like a purple grape sucker. It's really tangy, berry purple, fruity, zesty. Really berry and tangy. Purple. Delish. All right, very good. Plan for the day, people. Share the screen. Here we go. Jumping into Shapr3D. Oh my goodness, what a day. What a day, what a day, what a day, what a day. This is where we're at currently with our California compliant grip set. So what I've done here, I'm thinking about how close that is to CA compliant. It's pretty close. Should be right. I added some dimpling here. Stimpling? I don't exactly know what we're calling it. There's a third pattern here. I don't know where it went. All right, so that's really what we got. Take a look at that, guys. I don't know what you think. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments. I'm just kidding. You don't have to. I've already made my decision. And as much as I care about your opinion, it's already too late because you're not here in the live chat. The decision has already been made. These are the two options. This is the likely primary candidate because it gives you the most grip. This is going to go to print, and this is going to go to print. This other one, if I get curious down the road, I'll print it. I don't necessarily like the look. I think I'm really going to like this one. I think everybody's going to like that a lot. A lot. I was thinking about putting it up here. we might go ahead and do that. Because wouldn't that be nice? Am I crazy? Or do we want it just regular? The other thing, do we want to add like little ribs here for the thumb to sit on and hold? If there's nothing on the underside, right, and they're just putting maybe these pads underneath as well, okay, all the way up and around. I don't know, but that looks great. I really like that. I wish that this was better in some way. You know, when you're like, dang, I wish that pattern was a little bit smaller, or that there was maybe one more row to the outside. Problem is then that was falling off the edge. And I did a few hours today in Blender trying to figure out how to take this particular surface and these edges and take photographs of texture and set the position of the sunlight and then transfer that texture, you know, based on the shading from light to dark that would then affect the mesh file. And I'm not there yet. I mean, obviously I have the idea, but why aren't you there? Well, it's not. Well, in my head and language and in your head, it seems pretty straightforward. However, it's not so straightforward. So more time. It's going to be. It's going to take me 4 to 6 hours to figure out how to texture, and then I'll probably have 40 to 60 hours on texturing before I really know what the heck I'm doing. And that's the honest truth. There's so much to Blender, and I think that Blender is possibly, from what I'm seeing, it could be much better than it. Right now, I'm doing basic shapes on Shapr3D because it's fast and efficient for me, because it's intuitive for my childlike brain. Eventually, I will catch on to Blender and these more mature design programs. It's just tough for me to leave what's working well for us right now. And obviously, I can make textures. This I actually imported, shrunk down, and threw in there. I got it off from going online to, where do we pull that from? Onshape Public Community. Thank you, Onshape Public Community, or what is all of Onshape. Every file is publicly available, which is why I'm not on Onshape, because this, as soon as you start designing, anybody can come in and steal your design. There's no privacy. You want privacy? Zero privacy on Onshape. It just blows my mind that platform is even in existence. It's got to be either run by like China or Russia or North Korea. I mean, like who else? Or like some dude with huge kahunas here in America. Or like a real left, real Marxist or whatever. There's some crazy stuff on there. Pattern, and this came up as like a file on there. So, and this is a small section of a much bigger flat pad. Someday I'll get there. I mean, I could make that through. In fact, why don't we do that? Let's turn off visualization. I want to how do we want to do this now? Because I'm somewhat in a pickle. This is what I used. I just uploaded this flat sheet. Now I what I did here and make a pattern and then just copy that pattern over to make something like this. I think what they did was they did a cut pattern, an angled cut pattern. Through I mean, I don't know how though. I don't think you can do this with vertical. So you would work it at a 45. It's just a straight 45 to the center. Does that make any sense? So we just set up this V shape. I don't know what the sizing is on that. So this is going to be the tough part. This is what in my head I was like, ooh, you know what? I'm not. When I said was my ADD getting ahead of me. We're not interested in doing that as much as I would like to put texture on this up here. I need to make sure that it's functional first. So I am printing some stuff out to make sure it's functionality. Mainly just this front handrail. Then I am printing out this, this, and that in the smallest version, the 2-inch. To double check functionality. So that is going to be the sad reality of life right there. Just did. Oh, here's my cat. Oh, you're so handsome. Oh, you're the bestest. Oh, you're the babyest. Mr. Swifters. Trying to get on the lap again. Big wombat. All right, I'm gonna be quiet for a little while, and we're gonna pick up where we left off yesterday with Sherlock Holmes, Basil Rathbone.
Later than usual. And now let's look in on our genial friend and good host, Dr. Watson. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Bartell. Punctual to the minute, as usual.
Never keep a doctor waiting, I always say. Particularly Dr. Watson.
Draw up a chair, boy.
Thank you.
That's it.
All ready to tell us the Sherlock Holmes adventure of the speckled band, Doctor?
Yes, I'm all ready, Mr. Bartell.
Say, Doctor, just what does a speckled band mean?
You wait until I've told you the story, young fellow, my lad. You'll find out for yourself.
Sorry. The floor is all yours, Doctor.
The adventure of the speckled band began on a rainy April morning in 1883. An urgent call from one of my patients had kept me up most of the night before, and in consequence, I came down to my breakfast rather later than usual to find that Holmes left our house some hours earlier. As I sat there reading the morning paper and consuming my two lightly boiled eggs, there was a knock at the door. It opened to disclose a typical example of the British working man, the bag of tools in one hand and a grimy cap in the other, as he spoke to me from the doorway.
You sent for me, Mr. Holmes?
I'm not Mr. Holmes.
Oh, beg your pardon, Governor. I've come to the guest bracket over the mantelpiece.
Oh? What's wrong with it?
I got a leak in it.
Oh, leak? What's wrong with your work?
Yes, sir. Hope I won't be disturbing you,
No,
sir.
it's all right, my man. Don't mind me.
Oh, dear. Very untidy man, Mr. Holmes, sir.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you can't help noticing the mess this room's in. Our birds say he was as tidy as any when he started, but he learned bad habits from a bloke what lived with him. Dr. Watson, I think his name is.
You impertinent fellow. How dare you talk to me like that? I've got a good... Oh, where does he go to? Here, you come out of there. That's Mr. Holmes's room.
Don't be angry with him, Watson. What? Slipping up these grimy rags into a dressing gown?
Good gracious me. So was you, upon the soul, I never recognized you, but why the disguise?
A case, my dear Watson, a case. One of those small problems which a trusting public occasionally confides to my investigation. The British workman, old chap, all doors are open. His costume is unostentatious and his habits are sociable. Tool bag is an excellent passport and a tawny moustache will secure the cooperation of maids.
So what's the case, Holmes?
For modest little drama of life in the kitchen, one of those seemingly inconsequential affairs, and yet, Watson, the Duchess is at stake. Edward, no, Edward. Now, maybe a little more comfortable. Let's return to the sitting room, shall we? A strong cup of tea would be most acceptable.
Will you tell me about the Duchess and life in the kitchen, Holmes?
Some other time, old fellow, some other time. At the moment, suppose you tell me what you know about Miss Helen. I received a letter from her this morning in which she informed me that she would be calling here at 11, and also that she was a friend of yours.
Helen Turner. Oh, yes. charming girl indeed.
Pour me a cup of tea, Watson, and tell me about her.
Well, I befriended her at the time of the tragic death of her sister 2 years ago. I told you about the case, remember? The sudden death of Violet Stoner at an old house in Stoke Moran.
Yes. It all comes
Doesn't
back
make
to
any
now.
sense.
There was an inquest, wasn't there, with a string of stupid, ineffective witnesses.
Not ineffective. I was one of them.
Oh, I'm sorry, old fellow. Then you were the exception, of course. Wait a minute. Let me see. I docketed the evidence on the case.
All right. This is my favorite story.
Here we are. Let me see. Yes. Salisbury, Hatchet, murder, Lordson, Simon. Here we are. Stoke Moran. Yes, I remember the affair well now. The villain of the piece was Dr. Kingsby Roylott, wasn't he?
Yes, dreadful fellow. He's the stepfather of the girls. Violet, the one that died so mysteriously. Helen, the one who's coming here to see you.
Dr. Roylott has a pretty record. 55 years of age, killed his kid McGann in India, once in an insane asylum, married money, wife died, distinguished surgeon. Well, Watson, I wonder what the distinguished surgeon has been up to now.
Some deviltry affair.
Why do you say that?
You remember that Violet Stoner's death followed close upon the announcement of her engagement?
Yes.
Well, I met Miss Helen Stoner on the streets a few weeks ago. She told me that she'd just become engaged to a young fellow in the army who was leaving for the Far East. She was very upset at the thought of being alone with her stepfather at Stoke Moran.
Naturally it was. Dr. Roylott stands to lose a considerable sum of money in the event of his stepdaughter's marriage.
Yes, they both had a trust fund which he administered only as long as the girls were unmarried. That fact was brought out of the coroner's inquest 2 years ago. But if Roylott did poison the other stepdaughter, and I'm pretty convinced that he did, it seems unlikely that he'd try it again. 2 sudden deaths in the same household could hardly pass the coroner.
Oh, no, my dear Watson. You're making the mistake of putting your normal brain into Roylott's abnormal being.
Oh, that must be Miss Stoner now.
Let me see. It's precisely 11 o'clock. Well, let's see what we can do for her.
Oh, I hope you can help her, Holmes. She's an extremely nice girl.
Captain? Yes, Mrs. Hudson?
There is a Miss Helen Stoner to see you, sir. She says she has an appointment.
Show her in, please, Mrs. Hudson.
Aye, sir. Come in, my dear. Thank you.
Miss Stoner, I'm so glad to see you again.
How do you do, Dr. Watson? And this must be your friend.
Yes, Miss Stoner, I'm Sherlock Holmes. Sit down by the fire, won't you?
Yes, this is please do, madam. Hello, you're trembling with cold.
It's not cold that makes me shiver. Tell me, Mr. Holmes, has my stepfather, Dr. Grimsby Roylott, been here?
No, he hasn't.
He saw me in the street. I dashed by him in a hansom cab, but he saw me. Our eyes met, and he waved me to stop. And I came here as fast as I could.
Very sensible move. Dr. Watson has already given me several hints as to your present problem, as well as having refreshed my memory as to the circumstances of your...
My problem is a simple enough one, Mr. Holmes. I'm waiting to be murdered.
No, my dear
Please be a
girl.
trifle more explicit, Miss Stoner.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. My fiancé is leaving for the Far East today. And he leaves, I shall be alone with my stepfather at Stoke Moran. He plans to murder me just as he murdered my sister.
What makes you say that, Miss Stoner?
Many strange things have happened recently. For instance, he's just moved me into the bedroom in which my sister died.
What reason did he give for changing your room?
That my old one needed repainting. It didn't need it, but Dr. Roylott did need to put me into that horrible room. And other things have happened. I've heard the music again.
Music? What music?
My sister first heard it a few days before she died. I heard it myself on that dreadful night she breathed her last. Oh, Mr. Holmes, I'm
Don't worry,
terrified.
my dear. Don't worry anymore. You have friends to help you now. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
No, of course not.
Now, this music. Does it seem to come from inside the house?
Well, it's hard to say. It sounds so faint.
What's it like?
A sort of soft droning sound.
Like a flute or a pipe?
Yes, it reminds me of native music I heard during my childhood in India.
India, eh?
There's one other thing, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, what's that?
My sister's dying words. As she lay in my arms, she gasped out 2 words.
Oh, what were they?
Banned and speckled. You remember that evidence from the inquest, don't you, Dr. Watson?
Yes, I do. I couldn't make head or tail of it.
Band, speckled, Indian music. Miss Stoner, do you sleep with your door and windows fastened?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, but so did poor Violet. It didn't save her, though.
What did you gather from your sister's dying allusion to the band? The speckled band?
Sometimes I thought it was merely the wild talk of delirium, and sometimes that it referred to a band of people.
Oh, yes.
I remember that there were some gypsies in camp quite near us at the time of Violet's death.
Gypsies, eh?
Yes, and it occurred to me that they spotted gaily colored kerchiefs So many of them were over their heads might have suggested the unusual adjective which my sister used.
Priscilla, how long is it since you heard this strange music that you've told us about?
I heard it last night.
Your fiancé leaves today, you say?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Well, Miss Turner, I shall do everything I can to help you. If we were to come to Stoke Moran today, would it be possible to see over your rooms of the knowledge of your stepfather?
I think so. He told me this morning that he intended to take the late train home tonight.
Now, that's splendid. Watson, up with the timetable, old fellow, and look up the trains to Stoke Moran.
You're home?
That's my stepfather. I know it. Oh, yes. Yes, there he is on the doorstep. Oh, Mr. Holmes, he's followed me. Oh, what shall I do?
Don't worry, there's a private exit through that room there. Watson, show the way, will you?
Come down today, Mr. Holmes.
Certainly, my dear Miss Turner. I'll telegraph you the entire time. Goodbye and courage, my dear.
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes, and thank you.
Come on, Mr. Quickly.
Come in. Yes, Mrs. Hudson?
It's a gentleman, sir. I told him you wouldn't see anyone without an appointment, but he...
Out of the way, woman.
Now push me like that. I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes.
That's all right, Mrs. Hudson. You can leave us.
What kind of gentleman does he call himself pushing an old lady?
So you're Sherlock Holmes.
You have the advantage of me, sir. Your name is,
My name, sir, is Roylott. Dr. Grimsby Roylott of Stoke Moran.
Yes, of course. A charming place, I hear, and obviously good for the lungs.
You won't trifle with me if you know what's good for you.
Watson, there you are. And how was the experiment?
Very successful, Holmes. Good day to you, Dr. Roylott. I haven't seen you since I gave evidence at your stepdaughter's inquest. Yes, I remember you, Watson. Now listen to me, you two. My stepdaughter's been here. I faced her. What's she been saying to you?
A little cold for this time of the year, isn't it?
You answer me.
I hear that the crocuses promise well.
You dare to try and put me off, do you? I know you, you scoundrel. You're Holmes the meddler.
Am I?
Holmes the busybody.
That a man should occupy his time.
Holmes the Scotland Yard jack in office.
When you go out, close the door, won't you? There's a draft.
I'll go when I've had my say. Keep your nose out of my ears, do you hear?
Oh, yes. My hearing is excellent, thank you, and your diction and delivery most forceful. But time flies, my dear doctor. Time flies, and life has its duties as well as its pleasures. Goodbye.
Insolent rascal. Here. See this poker?
Oh, the fire doesn't keep poking, thank you, doctor. Well, I should be obliged if you'd put some more coal up on it.
You laugh at me. You don't know my strength. Look. There. Your poker's bent double. That's what I'll do to both of you. You don't keep out of my affairs.
I had a presentiment that he'd slam the door.
Phew. He's an ugly customer, Holmes.
Literally as well as figuratively. Watson, I'd be much obliged if you get your revolver. It may prove to be an excellent argument for the gentleman who twists iron.
Fellow's amazingly strong. Just look at it.
I don't want to appear flamboyant, but, there we are.
Great Scott, Holmes. You straightened the poker out again.
Yes, but it's utterly useless in its former shape. And now what's on the top table? We catch the train to Stoke Moran.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, I'm so relieved. My stepfather might have followed you down here.
To take that chance, Miss Stoner, a few hours delay would mean the difference between our life and death. It was imperative that we examine this room of yours before Dr. Roylott returns.
Anyway, my dear, you mustn't worry anymore. We're here in your house. We're going to take good care of you, no matter what harm befalls you.
Thank you, Dr. Watson.
This is the room that died, is it? As much as I pictured it.
And Dr. Roylett's room is this one, you say, Miss Turner?
Yes, Doctor, on that side. The room which adjoins it on the other side is my regular bedroom.
The one that's being so conveniently painted, eh?
Yes.
Well, let's examine this room. No trap doors or sliding panels, I suppose.
It sounds solid enough, Holmes.
Yes, I think it is. Are you aware that this bed is trapped to the floor, Miss Stoner?
Why, no, Mr. Holmes, I didn't know that.
Extraordinary.
Was the bed in your other room anchored also?
I don't think it was.
Very illuminating. And this bell pull hanging against the wall above your bed.
Oh, that, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work, but if you want to ring.
There's another one on the other wall over there.
Now, why this one?
Well, I don't know. My stepfather made a number of changes after we came here.
Yes, quite a burst of activity, apparently. And it took some strange shapes.
Why on the bed, Holmes?
I'm curious, my dear fellow. It may interest you to know that this bell rope is fastened to a brass hook with no wire attachment. It's a dummy.
Dummy? Why?
There's a small screen above it. It's a ventilator, I suppose.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Yes. A ventilator leading into your room. Curious. I notice there's no means of opening the ventilator on this side. It can only be operated through your stepfather from next door. I wonder if you mind taking us in there.
Of course, Mr. Holmes. Follow me.
What do you make of it, Holmes?
This devil's work afoot, old chap.
Here we are, Mr. Holmes.
Much the same as the other room. A bit bigger, perhaps.
That large safe against the wall seems to be an unusual piece of bedroom furniture. What is it, Miss Stoner?
My stepfather's business papers.
Oh, you've seen inside it, then?
Only once, some years ago. I remember that it was full of documents.
What's this saucer of milk doing on top of it? Does Dr. Roller keep a cat?
No, but he does have a cheetah and a baboon as pets. He brought them with him from India.
Well, Holmes, the cheetah is just a big cat.
True, but I doubt if the saucer of milk would go very far in satisfying the appetite of a cheetah. Well, I think I've seen enough. This matter is too serious for hesitation. Your life may depend upon your following my instructions, Miss Homer.
I'll do anything you say, Mr. Holmes. Anything.
That village inn I see through the trees from this window?
Yes, the Queen's Arms.
Your bedroom windows would be visible from there.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Very well then. Watson and I will go there now and obtain accommodations. When your stepfather returns, you must confine yourself to your room on the pretense of a headache. You follow me?
Perfectly.
When Dr. Roylott returns for the night, you must open your bedroom window and put your lamp on the sill as a signal to us at the inn. Then withdraw quietly into your usual bedroom, the one that's been painted. I'm sure that you can manage there for one night.
Of course. But what will you do?
When we get your signal, Dr. Watson and I will come here and spend the night in your dead sister's room. We are going to solve this mystery of the dummy bell rope and the unusual ventilator and the strange music in the night.
You'll hear the remainder of Dr. Watson's story in just a second, so I'm just going to point out that at any really important dinner, you know, like when diplomats get together, you'll find wine on the table. Because for years it's been a known fact that good wine makes good food taste better. Prove that to yourself tomorrow night by having your dinner together with a glass of Petri wine. If you prefer a red wine for any meat or meat dish, try a Petri California Burgundy. That rich, hearty red Petri Burgundy is really out of this world. Now, if you'd rather have a subtle, intriguing white wine, let's say to go with chicken or fish, then try Petri California Sauterne. But Sauterne or Burgundy, to make sure it's good, make sure it's Petri, won't you? Well, Doctor, it's a rattling good story so far. What happened next? You went to the local inn, I guess, and waited for that lantern to appear from the bedroom window at Dr. Roylott's house?
That's right, Mr. Martell. We had an early dinner at the Queen's Arms and then retired to our upstairs bedroom. We sat there side by side, puffing away at our pipes, our eyes straining through the darkness. That telltale lantern to give us the signal that there was dangerous work ahead for us. As we sat there discussing the various aspects of the case, I remember that Holmes was very concerned about my own safety.
Watson, I really have some scruples about taking you with me tonight. This is an infernally dangerous business.
What about that poor girl, alone in the house? That fiend, Roylott.
I can handle the case by myself, old chap.
I'm coming with you, Holmes. You speak of danger. We haven't seen more in those rooms than was visible to
No,
me.
but possibly I've deduced a little more. I imagine you saw all that I did.
There's nothing remarkable. The bell room? What purpose that could answer is more than I can imagine.
Saw the ventilator, too.
It's such an unusual thing to have an opening between two rooms. So small a mouse could hardly pass through it.
True, but at least you will admit there was a curious sequence of coincidences. A ventilator is constructed, a bell cord is hung from it. A lady sleeps in a bed directly below the ventilator, a bed that is anchored to the floor. The lady dies.
You to see what you're driving at, Holmes. Look. There's the lantern in Miss Turner's window.
It's our signal, all right. Come on, Watson. Our night's vigil begins. All night, our business, Watson. Come on, through these laurel bushes. It's only another 50 yards from the house.
Lantern's still burning away in the bedroom window,
Yes, all the other lights are out.
including the one in Dr. Roylott's room.
The
He must have gone to sleep.
To bed, possibly, Watson, but not, I think, to sleep.
Great heavens, Holmes. Look at that frightful creature leaping out the moonlight. It looks like some hideous child.
That's Dr. Royler's step baboon.
But it looks positively human.
Yes, probably a great deal more so than its master. Directly close the window now. Inside it provides the most convenient leather. I'll go first.
Careful, Holmes, careful. Wait a minute. I hope the thing's strong enough to hold us both. So, what is stupid about that? In the mud. Get down a bit, Holmes. I can't quite get my leg up over this window ledge. Leg up on. Oh, say,
And close the window shutters.
this room looks exactly like the same as it did this afternoon.
Somewhat repeated to our plans. Keep the lamp covered. So that if the ventilator is open from Dr. Royler's room, no light will show. And there. That's it.
Why are you carrying that sticker?
Prepared for a visitor that I expect before the night is over. The visitor who heralds his entrance with fake music from an Indian pipe.
You mean the music is a signal?
Exactly, old fellow. The signal to an accomplice who can enter a room with locked doors, an accomplice who kills and leaves no trace. You mean? Shh, no more talking, Watson.
The bubble.
I'll sit on the edge of the bed here. You sit on that chair. Have your revolver ready in case you should need it.
Right, you are.
The lantern ready too. When I shout now, turn the light. I'm on the top of the bell rope. You understand?
Yes, perfectly.
Good. Now we must wait. Perhaps for some time. Don't go to sleep, Watson. Don't go to sleep. Your very life may depend on it. Watson.
Yes.
You're not smoking, are you?
No, Holmes.
It's not tobacco smoke.
Must be drifting through the ventilator.
Exactly. Dr. Royler's up.
Look. It's a tiny shot of light showing up in the ventilator. Shh. Listen. There's the music.
Yes. Heralding the messenger of death. Have your lantern ready, Watson?
Slithing down the barrel. Come on. You can't do it. Stick hold out of the way and get it through there. Get back and back way. Can't. Get out. There it goes. Back to the ventilator. What a fiendish man. Scott, what's that?
I think the devil has turned on his master. Come on, Watson. It's Dr. Royler's room.
Dr. Roylott! Dr. Roylott! Doctor! Good Lord, Holmes. Look at him sprawled on the bed. Look at his eyes.
Yes. You see what is coiled around his forehead?
It's the snake.
Yes, the band. The speckled band.
He's dead, Holmes.
Yes, he's been bitten by the deadliest snake in the world. The Indian swamp adder. Deadly fangs produce death within 10 seconds. Well, Watson, violence does in truth recoil upon the violent, which he digs for another.
What should we do now, Holmes?
We must remove the macabre ear from the dead doctor and return the snake to its den. And I suggest we tell Miss Stoner danger under this roof. After that, we can turn the matter over to the local police. Our work is done.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, I can't tell you how grateful I am that you brought me back
My
into
dear
Vegas.
Miss Turner, it would have been inhuman to leave you in that house of horror and death. We have a spare bedroom, and Mrs. Hudson is a motherly and understanding woman, and I can assure you that Dr. Watson and I will be delighted to have you stay with us here until you've decided on your future plans.
Yes, of course we will, my dear. As a matter of fact, it's rather refreshing to have a...
Kind. Mr. Holmes, I think it's wonderful how you foil my father's devilish plans.
Yes, wasn't it a remarkable example of logical deduction?
No, it wasn't, O'Donnell. At first, your mention of the gypsies, Miss Turner, the use of the word band, put me on an entirely wrong scent. However, when we examined the fatal room, I drew the obvious conclusion.
The dummy bell rope, the ventilator, and the immovable bed.
Yes, old fellow, it instantly gave rise to the suspicion suspicion that the rope was there as a bridge for something coming through the ventilator and traveling to the bed. I once thought of a snake. When I saw the saucer of milk on top of the safe, my suspicions crystallized into certainty.
Oh, it was a fiendish plan.
Yes, an extremely clever one, too.
Exactly.
My stepfather must have trained this to return to him when he played the music.
Yes, he put it through the ventilator with the certainty that it would crawl down the rope and land on the bed. It might or might not bite the occupant. Perhaps she might escape every night for a week, but sooner or later she must fall a victim.
Thank heaven I came to you, Mr. Holmes.
Amen to that,
You
Miss
know, Holmes, if you had lashed the snake with your stick, I bet it wouldn't turn back on its upset.
True, old chap. I am no doubt indirectly responsible for Dr. Grimsby Rollett's death. But I can't say it's a fact that's likely to be too heavily on my conscience.
Doctor, that was quite a fascinating story. You know something? I'm not exactly a coward, but no kidding, my toes really curl when I get mixed up with snakes.
Oh, I'm alone in that respect, Mr. Bartell. I must admit that I like to have a revolver and at least 20 feet between me and any snake. Wants to cross my path.
Well, if you want a revolver in 20 feet, I'll take a cannon in 20 miles.
It's fortunate that you're a wine expert, Mr. Bartell, not a detective. I'm afraid you wouldn't, shall we say, find detecting to your liking.
We certainly shall say it. And incidentally, I'm not a wine expert, Doctor. All I know about wine is that it either tastes good or it doesn't. I also know that Petri wine always tastes good. The Petri family sees to that. The name Petri on the label is the personal assurance of the family that every drop of wine in that bottle is good wine. And they know how to make it good because they've been making fine wine for generations. Handing down from father to son, every secret, every skill of the winemaker's art. Yes, the Petri family took time to bring you good wine. That's why, no matter what type of wine you wish, you can't go wrong with a Petri wine. Well, Dr. Watson, what new Sherlock Holmes story are you planning to tell us next
Well,
week?
now, let me see. Now, next week, Mr. Bartell, I think I'll tell you an adventure that took place in South France. It's a strange story of sudden tragedy and death. I call it The Adventure.
Sounds swell. We'll all be listening.
Here, now, Mr. Bartell, before I go, I want to say that every one of our friends bought war bonds to help our boys win the war. Now let's all buy victory bonds to help bring our boys back home again. Yes, and let's buy victory bonds to make sure that the men who were wounded will get the finest possible care. Those same victory bonds will help make the GI Bill of Rights a success too. And they'll help provide for the families of those men who gave everything, including their lives. The men of our armed forces finished their job. Now let's finish ours. Buy victory bonds. Here you are, Mr. Bartell.
Good evening, Doctor. Oh, no, don't get up. You look much too comfortable.
Take off your overcoat and come and join me.
Well, I enjoyed your story of a scandal in Bohemia last week, Doctor, and tonight you promised us a sequel.
Yes, that's right, Mr. Bartell. A sequel that took place over 20 years afterwards, in 1909 to be exact. Sherlock Holmes was living on his Sussex bee farm. It was only in June, I remember, that I received a telegram from the great man asking to come and spend the long weekend with him.
And I'm sure you needed no urging to accept the invitation.
None, Mr. Bartell, none at all. I haven't seen Holmes for some time, and this fact, combined with my rather indifferent health, found me on the after receiving the telegram. A dog cart was at the station to meet me, and after a brisk drive across the downs, I found myself once more with my good friend. He looked somewhat older than when I had last seen him, but as he spoke to me, I realized from the keenness of his voice and the sparkle in his eye that Sherlock Holmes would never really be old. After a while, our conversation lapsed into the comfortable silence that pardon me, exists only between friends. And then, as the sun was setting, Holmes' beloved violin began to play some haunting melody. As he lay back, eyes half closed, his long, thin fingers caressing the instrument, a wave of nostalgia swept over me. I thought of the many years that we'd spent together, of the exciting adventures that we had shared during the old days in Baker Street. Beautiful.
increasingly wistful here, chap. You thinking of the old days?
Yes, Holmes. I was.
So was I. Uh-huh. Oh, well. Those were exciting times, but it's comforting to think that now we will not be disturbed. Poor devil in trouble. Nowadays, my great are connected with the segregation of the Queen Bee and the nighttime proclivities of Charles Augustus, my tomcat.
I still find it hard to think of you in retirement, Holmes. Do you ever consider returning to active practice?
Oh, I consider it occasionally. It should work only up to the peak of his ability. I pass mine.
Nonsense, Holmes. Just alert as ever you were.
Mentally, perhaps, but not physically.
Would you consider handling a small problem in England?
With its personal problem, my dear chap, you know I'll do anything I can.
Well, that's not exactly my problem, Holmes. There was a charming young girl on the train. We got into conversation and...
You don't age at any rate, old chap. You're just as susceptible as ever.
No, Holmes, let me finish. She said that you knew her mother quite well.
Her mother? Come in. Oh, yes, Devers, what is it?
I'm sorry to disturb you, Mr. Holmes. Your man said I might come in. My master, Mr. Little Stanley, instructed me to deliver this note.
Oh, thank you.
He also instructed me to wait for a reply.
Oh, confounded impudence. You said, Master, that there's no answer to this letter.
But he told me I must get a reply.
You may tell Mr. Little Stanley that I will instruct my solicitors to reply to his message in due course.
But, sir...
That's all, Devers. You may go.
Very good.
What did the note say, Holmes?
Read it for yourself.
Keep your filthy bees where they belong. One of my guests was stung yesterday. If this happens again, I'll have the police run you out of this place. Good Lord, what offensive letter.
The man himself, that his immense wealth entitles him to domineer. Oh, but let's not spoil a nice sunny afternoon by discussing him. Please continue with the story of the young lady that you met on.
Yes, I'd like to. Poor little thing seems in dreadful trouble. I do wish you would help her.
You say that she told you her mother knew me?
Yes?
What's her name?
Norton. I really Norton.
Norton? I don't seem to recall. Oh, but of course. Where did she go, Watson?
She's staying at the Red Lion in the village.
Then ring her on the telephone and ask her to come over here as fast as she can. Of course I'll help her.
I'm delighted, Holmes, but what made you change your mind so suddenly?
Your memory's so short that you can't remember Irene Adler. Surely you haven't forgotten that in the case you called a scandal in Bohemia, I was completely fooled by her.
Why, curious, Mrs. Of course. You always referred to her as the woman. But how does Irene Norton fit into the picture?
Irene Adler married a barrister named Jeffrey. Tell Miss Norton to come at once, Watson. She's the daughter of the woman.
Mr. Holmes, I've heard so much about you from Mother. She says you're the cleverest man in England.
Your mother flatters me, my dear child. She herself was much more clever than I. In fact, yes. I'll tell you about the circumstances under which we met.
Mr. Holmes, though she did tell me that you were a witness when she and my father were married.
Very true, my dear, very true. Though the occasion was a little, well, shall we say unusual? But here, this golden sovereign I wear on my watch chain is a memento of that day. I also have a charming photograph of your mother.
You must have known her quite well.
How about telling Mr. Holmes about your troubles, my dear?
Reminiscences are charming, but they can wait until we've dealt with your problems.
Mr. Holmes.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear it.
Do you know him?
Oh, yes, indeed I do.
Matter of fact, Mr. Holmes, a offensive note from the gentleman less than an hour ago.
What hold does Mr. Stanley have of you, my dear?
He had some letters, some rather indiscreet letters of mine that I wrote to a friend of his last year.
How did he obtain these letters, Miss Norton?
He must have stolen them. I don't know how, but when I was staying at his house a few weeks ago, he told me that he had them and asked £5,000 for their return.
Goodness me. And, why should he consider your letters, even indiscreet letters, worth so large a sum?
I'm engaged to be married. That awful man, Mr. Stanley, knows that if my fiancé saw the letters, the marriage would never take place.
They must be extremely compromising.
They aren't really. But I was much younger when I wrote them. In fact, I was only 17. And I'm afraid they could easily be misconstrued.
You told your mother?
Oh, no, she'd never understand.
She might surprise you on that score, I think. How about your father?
Daddy's a barrister. You can imagine how straight he'd be about the whole thing. That's why I came to you, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, I see. You feel that I am not so, well, should we say, straight-laced?
Of course you aren't. Mother's told me about you, and in any case, I've read Dr. Watson's story.
Watson, my dear fellow, your stories will land me in serious trouble one of these days.
What are you suggesting Mr. Holmes can do for you?
Get the letters back for me.
But how?
Steal them, of course.
Well, my dear, I hardly think you...
No, my dear Watson, don't be shocked. Miss Norton is a forthright girl like her mother.
Mr. Holmes, you can't say you won't help me.
No, I don't think I can say it. In any case, I have a slight personal score to settle with Mr. Lytton Stanley myself. He's rude and has no understanding B.
How are you going to steal the letters?
That problem requires a good thought, old chap.
I can tell you how to do it, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, this is delightful, my dear. You explain the problem and also the way of solving it. How easier to take plans was equally helpful. Tell me, what is your plan?
Tomorrow, the servant's half-day off at Mr. Lytton Stanley's. You'll be alone there during the afternoon.
How do you know that fact?
My maid was keeping company, as they say, with Davis, the butler, when I was staying there a few weeks ago. She found out everything from him. My letters are kept in a filigree box in his desk.
With your enterprise, my dear, I'm surprised you didn't try and open the desk yourself.
I did. But it's very sturdy and has a combination lock. However, I'm sure that you and Dr. Watson can think of some way of getting the letters, particularly if Mr. Lytton Stanley's alone in the house.
We shall do our best.
Promise me one thing, though, both of you.
Oh, what's that?
Don't read the letters, will you? I'm really rather ashamed of writing them.
Oh, of course we won't, my dear child.
You're both so sweet to me. How can I thank you?
Thanks would be a little premature, but you could favor.
Of course. What is it?
Your mother had a beautiful voice, I recall. I wonder if you inherit her talent.
I do sing, though I've never done so professionally like Mother.
And I've never played the violin professionally, but perhaps between us we can give Watson a little concert.
That's a delightful idea. We can't do anything until tomorrow anyway.
What would you like to sing?
Songs my mother taught me.
Really remarkably appropriate.
In the days long vanished, seldom from
Tonight, music. And tomorrow, a touch of daylight robbery.
Dear old Watson, your disguise is really excellent.
I must confess I'm a little apprehensive.
Hi, Roger. There's no need to be, I assure you. You, as Dr. Hamish, and I, as the Reverend Appleby, are calling on Mr. Stanley ostensibly in search for contribution for my charity hospital that you are in charge of. What could be simpler?
Well, what made you decide on...
Our entrance at the house. Now, I must confess that a rare sentiment prompted the choice of my skirt.
How does sentiment enter into it?
Oh, surely you remember that it was in the role of a simple-minded nonconformist clergyman that I once attempted to deceive Miss Norton's mother.
That's right. I've forgotten. That woman really fascinates you.
She does, old chap. Irene Adler was one who was regarded with unbounded admiration. Even though she was a criminal. Put them up on this. Come on, old fellow. Are you ready?
Yes?
You have the equipment I mentioned to you?
In my pocket?
That's the awful. He's home, Mother. Devil doesn't he answer the door?
Come. My dear Reverend Appleby from Parson, your language is hardly broken.
I'm sorry, Dr. Hamish. Here comes someone. Yes, Miss Lytton Stanley. That's my name. And mine is Appleby, and this is my friend, Dr. Hamish.
I'm proud to meet you, but I've heard a great deal about you.
If we could come in for a moment, I'll explain our mission. Very well. Come into the study. We are raising a subscription list for Charity Hospital at Paddlewake, just across the downs. You're a prominent resident here, and we thought that you'd like to donate a few guineas. I'm really not very interested. I've given as much to charity this year as I can afford.
Well, it's a fine cause, sir. I'm giving my medical services 3 days a week, and the Reverend Appleby is donating his services too.
Who else has contributed to this fund? All your neighbors, sir. We just came from the bee farm over the downs. The owner, Mr. Holmes, gave us a check for 5 guineas. Holmes gave you
Aye, very nice gentleman, Mr. Holmes. We're proposing to name a warrant in the hospital after him.
Is this list of subscribers going to be published in the paper?
Oh, yes, Mr. Stanton.
I'll give you 10 guineas.
Yes, thank you, sir. Kind of you, sir.
I'll get my checkbook. It's in this desk. Now, who do I make this check payable?
Hold it still.
Watson.
It doesn't take long, does it?
Thanks, little fellow. It's lying over the desk. That's it.
You see filigree box in there?
Here it is.
Splendid. Holmes, don't open it. You promised that you would.
Move us there, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, there.
Oh, no, don't move. I have a revolver. Don't turn around. Place the box on the table, Mr. Holmes. Gentlemen, both of you. That's right. I'm a butler. I'm quite correct.
Well, needless you need point a revolver, because your master's been injured.
I'm not in the least interested in my master's health, Dr. Watson. In fact, if he were dead, I should be delighted.
Now, what do you do, Devers?
I'm taking advantage of a situation, sir. I've been trying to open that desk for weeks. After such kindness on your part, sir, I hate to seem ungracious, but I'm dreadfully afraid I shall have to kill you. To kill both of you. Dr. Watson's story will continue in just a second, so I'm just going to remind you that good food always tastes better when served with good wine. If you like a red wine, say with steak or meat of any kind, you'll love Petri California Burgundy. If you'd rather have a white wine, say with chicken or fish, then by all means get Petri California Sauterne. Oh, and look, if opinion is divided in your family, if some of you like a red wine and some like white, it's as obvious. Don't buy one, buy two. Remember that, huh? Don't buy one, buy two, but do buy Petri. Then you know it's good. Doctor, that was a fine place to break off your story with the butler pointing a gun at your backs and you and Sherlock Holmes with your hands above your heads. What happened next? I know at least you didn't get killed. You wouldn't be sitting here in California tonight telling me the story.
Elementary, Mr. Bartell, but supposing I take you back in the story to the point where I left off.
Well, all right then. Take me back, Doctor. Take me back.
Very well. We stood there, Holmes and I, our hands above our heads. As Devers said,
I asked that you open the desk for me. After such kindness on your part, sir, I hate to seem ungracious, but I'm dreadfully afraid I'm going to have to kill you both.
Because I dislike to appear stupid at such a melodramatic moment. And why is it necessary to kill us?
For months, I have been waiting for an opportunity to steal the Kipling-Jar emerald, and now you have done it for me, sir. And presented me with a perfect alibi.
Kipling-Jar emerald?
Oh, come now, Mr. Holmes, you know the treasures in this house as well as I do. Apart from the emerald, there's a superb Cellini that would fetch a fine price in the right market.
we are here, pretty valuables, my good man.
Please don't call me your good man, Dr. Watson. It's patronizing and untrue. In any case, sir, whether you were here after the valuables or not makes no difference. I've caught you both red-handed. You're completely in my power, gentlemen.
You're going to steal the treasures, I suppose, and then pretend that we were responsible.
Exactly, sir. I shall kill you both, see what objects appeal to me, and when my master regains consciousness, I shall explain that I found three. I killed two of them, while the third got away with the loot. Who will be... I might even have my salary raised.
Watson, I'm afraid this is the end, old chap.
Only way to die. Coward.
Devers, at least do us the courtesy of allowing us to face the barley squad, will you?
Very well, gentlemen. Turn round. But don't try any tricks.
One last request.
What is it, sir?
I've beaten and I've met it. I'm getting old, but in my heyday I saw some of the greatest criminals in Europe. My life has been attempted many times, but I've always escaped. If this is to be my swan song, at least give me the privilege of shaking the hand of a man who has at last left
My station, but I suppose the situation is unusual. I hope not object to the left hand, sir. I'll keep the revolver in my right.
Very well, Devers. Here you are.
Goodbye, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Goodbye, Devers. My congratulations. My congratulations for being a fool. I'm getting old, Watson, but I've not lost my skill at direct soup.
You went over your shot in a flash. Fortunately, the bullet went wide.
Yes, Watson. Struck the desk as it fell.
Yes, it's not serious. Be unconscious for a while.
Good, but I think we'll take the precaution of closing this desk drawer. I don't want it to be exposed to further temptation when he comes to. Now we are.
Shouldn't we get the police home?
Please, great Scott, no, all for all. After all, we're burglars and we're in disguise. Two facts that would be hard to explain satisfactorily, no? Let's get to the bee farm as soon as possible.
Yes, I suppose you're right. Miss Norton will be waiting for us there. Tell her what happened. Poor girl, I'm afraid she's in for something of a shock.
Oh, Dr. Watson, I'm so glad to see you back again. Did you get the delivery box?
Yes, Miss Norton, here it is.
Mr. Holmes, I didn't know that you...
Watson. And I'll open it, Miss Norton.
Well,
Open it, my dear. There may not be love letters beside it, but there's a note.
Oh.
Why don't you read it to us?
Let this be a warning, no. Crime does not pay. If you don't believe me, ask your mother. Sincerely, Sherlock Holmes. Mr. Holmes, you knew my secret all the time.
Not all the time, but I realized as soon as I'd opened the delivery box. What on earth are you talking about? Miss Norton was under the impression that she could use me as a cat's paw, as a dupe to commit a burglary for her.
I still don't understand, Holmes.
You remember she asked us to promise not to open the box.
You did, sir, just before the fellow held us up with a revolver. What was inside the
An
box?
expressive green stone which I knew to be the Kidmanjar emerald.
But where's the emerald now?
I slipped it back to Mr. Stanley's desk and locked it. Brought the box here because I wanted to see your expression, Miss Norton, as you opened it.
Great Scott, and I thought you were falling in trouble.
You have to save yourself, young lady.
But I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Holmes, terribly sorry. It seemed like a wildly exciting idea, but I didn't really mean to steal.
No, of course not. No, of course you didn't. Let me to steal it for you. Miss Norton, I'm convinced you knew that your mother once outwitted me, and you presume to think that you could do the same. I should turn you over to the police.
Please don't, Mr. Holmes. You can't do that.
I certainly could. But I'm not going to for two reasons. First, you're young and impressionable, and this may teach you a lesson. And in the second place, I have a strange admiration for your mother. But I warn you, Miss Norton, that you have had a narrow escape. A very narrow escape.
Mr. Holmes, before I go, there's one favor I want to ask you.
Really? What is it?
Could I keep this filigree box with your note inside it? It would be a reminder all my life of how we met.
Ah, what do you say, Watson?
It's your box to give her.
That's true, although that's quite true. But I fail to see how we can return it now without disclosing our own share in the attempted robbery. In any case, I don't like Mr. Little Stanley. We might indulge in a little petty larceny without feeling too guilty. Very well, Miss Norton. You may keep the box.
I shall always treasure it. Thank you. Goodbye, Dr. Watson. Don't think too badly of me. Good night, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I don't know if I really like it. Shape is off.
You know, Holmes, I must say you were surprisingly lenient with that girl. You suppose her mother put her on through the whole thing?
That possibility had occurred to me, old fellow. And yet I have a feeling that... Come in. Door's open.
Were you expecting Holmes?
No.
Scott, it's Little Stanley.
Good evening, sir. This is an unexpected honor.
Sherlock Holmes, we haven't been the best of friends, I know. But you've got to help me now. I'm in serious trouble.
No, indeed, sir. Sit down. This is my friend, Dr. Watson. And now, sir, what is your trouble?
I've been robbed, Holmes.
Robbed? What was stolen?
Well, my greatest treasure, the Kidmanjar emerald, was removed from his case and then mysteriously returned loose in my desk afterwards. But there's a priceless Cellini missing.
Have you any idea who the burglars might be?
Oh, it was a gang, I'm sure of that. A couple of disguised as a clergyman and a doctor came into the house on the pretext of raising money for some hospital. And they overpowered me with chloroform.
Dear me, how very unpleasant for you.
Yes, well, when I came to, I found my butler keepers lying beside me in a pool of blood. The brave fellow had wrestled with the thieves, but they got him. And he's in the hospital. Holmes, you've got to help me.
The Kidmanjar, say, but a Cellini is missing.
Yes. It's an exquisite filigree box in which I kept the emerald.
A filigree box?
Yes, it's a genuine Cellini. It's worth several £1,000s. Holmes, you must help me solve this business.
I'm sorry, Mr. Little Stanley, but I'm afraid I can't help you. I've retired. Yes, and I intend to remain in retirement. Good night.
I'll pay you any fee within reason.
My decision is final, sir. Good night. Oh, I might have known I wouldn't get any help from you.
Holmes, she fooled you again.
Yes, the little tickle. She knew that box visit to me at the time.
You don't seem very angry with her.
Much with me, but I'm not. What splendid audacity. What a superb nerve the child.
Back from her.
I shall, Watson. I shall. Or rather, I shall persuade Deavers to do it for me. That's the price of our silence.
How can he get it back?
Remember that he walks out with Miss Norton's maid. I'm certain that when he explains his predicament, he can prevail upon her to steal the box from her mistress so that it may be returned to its rightful owner.
That's a good idea. That is George Holmes. Miss Norton's a chip off old block, all right?
Yes, Watson.
What about?
Wonder, my dear chap, how long I can remain in retirement. Such a worthy antagonist at large. It's a challenge. It's an irresistible challenge.
You know, Dr. Watson, I just can't get over the way you and Mr. Holmes let that girl, Irene, was that her name, pull the wool over your eyes. Why, she really twisted you around her little finger.
I like to make extremely positive statements, but I'm sure that if you were in my shoes, Irene would not only have twisted you around her little finger, she'd have had you rowing about in hoops and standing on your head.
You mean she was that beautiful?
Mr. Bartell, she was so beautiful that she'd make you forget all about Petri wine.
Dr. Watson, no girl is that beautiful.
Oh, how young you really are.
Well, maybe so, but there are lots of pretty girls in this world and only one Petri wine. That's because there's only one Petri family that's been making wine since the 1800s. And believe me, because the Petri business has always been family-owned and operated, they've been able to hand on down from father to son, the highly skilled art of making fine wine. And those generations of winemaking add up to a lot of experience. The Petri family really knows how to turn luscious California grapes into fragrant, delicious wine. That's why, no matter what type wine you wish, you can't go wrong looking for the label that says P-E-T-R-I, Petri, because Petri took time to bring you good wine. Well, Dr. Watson, what story are you planning to tell us next week?
Well, now, next week, Mr. Bartell, is the day before Christmas. So I'll tell you an adventure that took place many years ago and involved Holmes and myself in one of the most fantastic Christmas Eve situations in which we ever found ourselves. I think you'll like the story. I call it The Night Before Christmas.
Sounds swell, Doctor.
Oh, thank you. Oh, by the way, before I go, Mr. Bartell, I'd like to remind our listeners there's no better way to spend money than to spend it on Christmas seals. Penny spent on Christmas seals not only helps cure tuberculosis, but it also helps prevent it right in your own community. Your purchases of Christmas have saved thousands of lives. Keep saving lives by all the Christmas seals you can afford this year. Now, won't you?
And now, as we make our way through the night to Dr. Watson's hospital door, we notice a feeling of spring in the air. The buds are swollen on the trees, still black and dripping from the rain. There's the smell of warm, damp earth.
Delicious. Hey, Mr. Benny?
Well, hello, Dr. Watson. I didn't see you in the dark.
Yes, I've been out checking up to see if my magnolias survived the winter.
Any catching it?
Oh, they all seem to be fairly bursting with buds. Just at that first faint whiff of the spring. Almost treacherous. Come along to the house before we both catch our death of cold.
After you, sir.
Not a drop, boy. None of that age before beauty nonsense. Not this decrepit was all that.
Oh, what's this? Front hall littered with trunks, suitcases?
Oh, yes. I'm afraid my annual wanderlust has broken out rather early this spring. I'm off on a little jaunt first thing tomorrow morning, but come along into the study.
Does that mean that this is the last of our storytelling evening?
For this winter, yes, I'm afraid. Well, I trust I'm not too forward if I hope to be invited.
Oh, of course not. You know we'll be waiting for your return.
Oh, thank you very much. Very decent of you. Put up to the hand-wringings of an old fellow like yourself. I appreciate it, you know. But sit down, Mr. Manning, sit down there, over there, in the usual chair. Let's get on with our story before I get all worried. Mr. Manning.
You're going to tell us about Professor Moriarty now.
tonight.
Well, I had intended, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to tell you the adventure of the retired colorman instead.
Hired colorman? Isn't that a military term?
No, just Mr. Josiah B. Amberley, being the junior member of Brickfall and Amberley, manufacturers of artistic paint boxes. He's been quite entitled to fortune.
Now, Dr. Watson, how about the Red-Headed League?
Well, the adventure began one day during the autumn of the year 1890, I believe it was. It was just after my marriage, and I hadn't seen much of Sherlock Holmes lately. Anyway, I burst in upon my old friend to find him deep in conversation with a stout, florid-faced gentleman with the fiercest red hair it has ever been my privilege to observe. I was about to withdraw when Holmes pulled me abruptly into the room and closed the door behind me.
Come in, my dear Watson, come in. You couldn't possibly have come at a better time.
But Holmes, I was afraid you might be busy.
So I am, my dear fellow. Allow me. Mr. Wilson, this is...
Go, sir.
How do you do?
Sit down, Watson, sit down.
Thank you.
I know you love of the bizarre, for although you've never agreed that for the strangest effects and most extraordinary combinations one must go to life itself.
Well, you know,
Mr. James Wilson here has just started a narrative which promises to be one of the most singular to which I've listened for some time.
Oh, really?
And now, my dear Mr. Wilson, perhaps you would have the great kindness to recommence your story.
Oh, certainly, Mr. Holmes. As soon as I could find that newspaper clipping, where did I put it? I'd have sworn it was here in my waistcoat pocket.
Watson, while we're waiting for Mr. Wilson to find his missing newspaper advertisement, suppose you tell me what you deduce from his appearance.
Oh, well, let's see. Well, I would say that he was middle-aged. You don't mind my saying so, Mr. Wilcox? I will. And he has hair.
Obvious, Watson. Too obvious. I'll come to your assistance.
Oh, Colonel?
He has at some time done manual labor. He is a Freemason, has been and has done a considerable amount of writing lately.
Mr. Holmes, you fair give me the creeps. Are you one of these mind readers?
No, indeed.
Now, in the name of good fortune, did you know all this about me? About the manual labor, for example. It's as true as gospel. I begin as a ship's carpenter.
Your hands, your right hand is quite a size larger than your left. The muscles are more developed. As for the Freemasonry, you use an arc and compass breastpin, rather against the strict rules of your order.
See that? But the writing, how about that?
What else can be indicated by that right cuff, so very shiny, and the left sleeve with the smooth patch near the elbow where you rest it on the desk?
Well, how about China?
The fish that you have tattooed immediately above your right wrist could only have been done in China. That trick of staining the fish's scales a delicate pink is quite peculiar. And when, in addition, I see a Chinese coin hanging from your watch chain, the matter becomes even more so.
Well, I never thought you'd done something clever. But now I see it was nothing after all.
I begin to think, Watson, that I make a mistake in explaining. Omne ignotum pro magnifico, you know.
Yes, just noticed.
I may have will suffer shipwreck if I'm so candid. Have you found the advertisement, Mr. Wilson?
Oh, yes, I've got it now. It was in my watch. This is what began it all, sir. Just read it for yourself.
Watson, suppose you do that for us.
With pleasure.
First, make a note of the paper and the date.
The Morning Chronicle of July the 27th, 1890, just 2 months ago.
Very well. Proceed with the advertisement.
Begins, to the Red-Headed League. Owing to the bequest of the late Hezekiah Hopkins, there is now another vacancy open which entitles a member of the League to a salary of £4 a week for purely nominal services. All red-headed men above the age of 21 are eligible. Beyond, fly in person on Monday at 11 o'clock to Duncan Ross, the offices of the League, 7 Court Fleet Street. Tell me, Holmes, what on earth does this all mean?
I think I promised you that this case was bizarre. Now, Mr. Wilson, if you will continue with your story.
Well, it's just about as I was telling you, Mr. Holmes. I have a small pawnbroker shop in Coburg Square. Late years, business. I used to be able to keep 2 assistants, but now I only have 1. And I'd have a job to pay him, except he's willing to come for half wages, so as to learn the business.
Obliging youth. What's his name?
Vincent Spaulding. And I couldn't want a smarter assistant, Mr. Holmes. I know he could easily earn twice what I'm able to give him. Well, as I say, if he's satisfied, who am I to be putting ideas into his head?
Your assistant seems to be as remarkable as your advertisement.
Oh, he has only one fault, Mr. Holmes. Photography.
Photographer?
Yes, snapping up a camera and then diving down into the cellar like a rabbit into his hole to develop his pictures.
An amateur photographer, huh? Is, still with you, I suppose?
Oh, and an observant young fellow he is. He was the one that brought this advertisement to my notice. It was just this day, 8 weeks, when he rapped on the office door with this very paper in his hand. Come in.
Oh, Mr. Wilson, sir.
Oh, it's you, Vincent. What's the matter?
Wish to heaven, Mr. Wilson, that I was a red-headed man.
Why?
Oh, well, look here, sir. What it says in this paper. There's another vacancy in the League of the Red-Headed Men. Worth a pretty penny to him that gets it.
A red-headed league? Never heard of it.
Never heard of the League of the Red-Headed Men?
No.
Oh, Mr. Wilson, you eligible for one of the vacancies.
Huh? What's the word?
Oh, and the work's slight, and it needn't interfere much with one's reputation.
Couple of £100 a year, huh? Let me see that paper, young man.
Yes, here you are, sir. As far as I can make out, the League was started by a millionaire named Ezekiel Hopkins, a red-headed man himself. He left his fortune in the hands of trustees with instructions to provide easy berths to men who had red hair. And from what I hear, the work isn't difficult.
Oh, of red-headed men.
Oh, not as many as you might think, sir. You see, it's confined to Londoners.
Oh.
And then again, it's no use if your hair is light red or dark red or anything but real blazing fire red. They've got the reddest hair they can find.
Well, there's a redder head of hair than mine in the length and...
Well, I have seen a few that I considered.
Oh, well, where's Matt?
What are you going to do?
I'm going around to apply for that vacancy. If it's raining gold, no one can say that James Wilson is the man to go out with a sieve.
And did you get the job, Mr. Wilson?
I did that, Mr. Holmes. There wasn't a head of hair could touch mine for redness. I would do say so myself. And there was thousands competing.
And what was the work?
Oh, purely nominal, like the paper said. And it paid £4 a week, regular as a clock. All I had to do was sit at a desk in an office at that address there from 10 to 2 and copy out bits from the encyclopedia.
Educational as well as narrative. And how long did this work continue?
About 8 weeks. I was pretty well through the A's. Abbots, archery, architecture, and the like. Then suddenly it come to an end. I went to my work then, as usual. Door was shut and locked, and the card was nailed to the door.
What did it say?
Red-headed league dissolved October 9, 1890.
I say, Holmes, that's today.
This very morning it was, sir. Well, I lost no time trying to find the man that hired me. £4 a week is £4.
You say you tried to find the man that rented the office?
Yes, sir. I inquired from the house agent, and he gave me the man's name and said he'd moved to a new address.
You went there, of course.
Yes, sir.
Well?
When I got to that address, it was a manufacturer of artificial kneecaps. No one had ever heard of the Red-Headed League.
So then you came straight to me.
Yes, sir. I thought it best to lose no time.
Quite right. By the by, Mr. Wilson, this assistant of yours, Mr. Vincent Spaulding, how long had he been with you when he called your attention to the Red-Headed League?
About a month.
How did he come?
In answer to an advertisement.
Was he the only applicant?
No, sir. I had a dozen.
Why did you pick him?
Because it was handy and would come cheap, but half wages, in fact.
What is he like?
Small, stout built, very quick in his ways. No hair on his face, though he's not short of 30. And he had a wet splash of acid on his forehead.
I thought as much. Have you ever noticed that his ears have pierced with earrings?
Well, yes. He says a gypsy did it for him when he was a lad.
Watson, what day of the week is it?
Saturday, of course.
Saturday, dear me, so it is. Well, Mr. Wilson, I think I may promise you some startling developments by tonight. In the meantime, Watson, I suggest we drop round sometime this afternoon to view the attractions of Saxe-Coburg Square, and Wilson's exemplary assistant in particular.
Certainly, my dear fellow. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll be expecting you. Goodbye, gentlemen.
And now, Watson, if you will hand me my violin, I have some thinking to do.
Can't you think without that? Oh, all right. There you are. Saxe-Coburg Square.
Shabby, genteel little backwater. And this, I fancy, is our friend's shop, the 4-story building with the 3 gilt balls of the store. Yes. Well, the square itself seems fairly uninteresting. Let's see what street backs onto it on this side. Come on.
Well, I can't see what difference the next street can make to our problem. If it is a problem, the whole thing sounds more like a practical joke to me.
A practical joke which cost its perpetrator £4 a week. Nonsense, Watson. No man's sense of humor resides in his pocketbook.
Well, this street...
The cheap apartments leading to the north and west. Let me see. Houses here.
Order?
Yes, it's a hobby of mine to have things exactly in London. First we have Mortimer's, then the tobacconist, the little newspaper shop, the Coburg branch of the City and Suburban Bank, the vegetarian restaurant, and Farland's carriage building yard. Yes.
How would you behave as if you were taking a memory course? You want to know all the shops on that street. It's a waste of time.
Nothing that exercises the brain is a waste of time, my dear Watson. The trouble with most of us is that our brains have become fat if made of proper use.
Rubbish. Well, here we are back again.
Right.
Why are you tapping on the pavement with your stick? Huh? You want to enter the shop? Well, knock on the door.
Oh, quite so, Watson. I'm afraid my etiquette is a bit faulty lately. So, just to please you, I will knock on the door.
Somebody's coming. I can see him through the glass.
Looks like our bright little assistant. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Won't you step in? Thank you, no. I only wish to ask you how to get from here to the Strand. Third right, fourth left. Smart fellow there.
I see no signs of a colossal intelligence.
Nevertheless, he is, in my judgment, the 4th smartest mind in London. And for daring, I'm not sure that he's not the 3rd.
I see nothing so startling about him.
The knees of his trousers, Watson. Didn't you notice?
The knees of his trousers?
My dear Watson,
oh, this is so much more than I've had just about enough of it. I'm going to get myself some tea and a muffin. There's an advertising little baker shop across the road there.
Very good, Watson. Suppose you meet me back here at 10. Kindly put your arm and revolver in your pocket. Than I expected.
Just a moment, we'll rejoin Sherlock Holmes as he endeavors to solve the strange case of the red-headed lead. Leading hair specialists in this country constantly advise us to take better care of the hair we've got. And then, don't forget that if you want your hair handsome and healthy looking, one of the first requirements is a high scalp. And why settle for just any hair dressing when you can enjoy the extra advantages of Kreml hair tonic? Kreml is a highly specialized hair tonic which gives you your... It contains a unique combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair preparation. It keeps hair attractively groomed at all times, looking so neat and orderly. But Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. A Kreml massage stimulates circulation right in the surface of your scalp and leaves your scalp feeling so alive and invigorating. At the same time, Kreml removes dandruff flakes, and it's excellent to lubricate a dry scalp. If your hair is so dry that it breaks off and falls when you comb it, Kreml actually helps condition the hair, and it makes it feel softer and more pliable. So men, take better care of the hair you've got. Buy a bottle of Kreml at any drug counter. At shop. Use Kreml daily for better groomed hair for a more hygienic scalp. Kreml, Kreml hair tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, you were going to meet Sherlock Holmes that night in Saxe-Coburg.
Yes, Mr. Well, our rendezvous took place right on the dot. I remember the hour was... I say, Holmes, it's 10 o'clock now. How long do we have to stand here in this compounding rain? I'm so stiff.
Until the other member of the party stands up, Watson. Ah, here comes the cab. I think... Oh! Yes. Good evening, Mr. Merriweather.
Good evening, Holmes.
Yes.
I say, Holmes. Like Saturday night. It's my rubber of whist. It's the first Saturday night for 27 years that I've not had my whist.
My dear Merriweather, I think you'll find that tonight you're playing for higher stakes than even you are accustomed to. And I can promise the play will be more exciting. Oh, gee. By the way, this is my friend, Dr. Watson.
How do you do?
But come, we must hurry. This way, gentlemen.
Where are we going? Well, shop is here on the square.
Stop there, big one.
Well,
Follow me and don't waste time.
your message to me, Holmes, you said something about John Clay, the murderer, thief, smasher, and mortar. John Clay? Who's he?
My dear Watson, John Clay is one of our most colorful and dangerous criminals. A young man, right at the head of his profession. I'd rather have the bracelet on him than on any criminal in London.
I've heard that his grandfather was a royal duke, and he himself has been an Eastern Oxford.
He'll crack a crib in Scotland one week and be raising money to build an orphanage in Cornwall the next.
We've been after him for years, Holmes, and haven't set eyes on him yet.
Well, first I may have the pleasure of introducing you tonight. Here we are, down this narrow passageway. You'd better let me go first.
Here, Holmes. I don't know this passage goes underground. It's with a creek. Sir, run into something.
The wall, I fancy, I'm going to warn you. There's a turn here to the right.
Yes, I found that out. Thanks very much.
Ah, here's the door. Just a moment till I light my dark lantern. There. Now, Mr. Merriweather, if you will unlock the door for us.
Just a moment till I find my key. Here we are.
Better let me go first, sir, in case we're too late. Ah, yes, the coast seems clear enough. Come along, both of you.
Oh, as I said, I don't like to look straight. You'll have to throw such weird shadows. Smells like a vault.
It is the vault, my dear Watson. The basement of the City and Suburban Bank, to be exact, of which our friend, Mr. Merriweather here, is managing director.
What are all those wooden crates doing here?
They explain why the most daring criminal in London is taking such an interest in this particular place.
Yes, Dr. Watson. These crates contain our French gold. French gold? Quite. You see, we had occasion some months ago to borrow 30,000 Napoleons from France. France? Most of which has never been unpacked.
Rather an inducement than anything.
Oh, really, Holmes, I think you are rather unduly excited. The building is guarded by 10 burly watchmen.
Yes, I dare say you're not particularly vulnerable from above.
Nor from below, Holmes. Nothing but solid earth below these flagstones. Listen to this.
Don't do that. You ignore my cats.
But look here, I say it sounds hollow, you know.
So now, please. Now then, I think we'd better take up our positions. You, Merriweather, behind those large boxes in the corner. Watson and I will hide behind this crate. I hope you appreciate the honor, my dear fellow. This crate contains no less than 2,000 folios, neatly packed in tinfoil. Ready? You must put the screen of my dark lantern.
And sit here in the dark? Certainly. Oh, dear, and I thought on the pack of cards. I thought we might have time for a three-headed robber.
Not tonight, Mr. Merriweather. We're dealing with a dangerous man, and unless we can take him at the disadvantage, he may do us considerable harm. One thing more. When I flash my light, close it swiftly. And if he reaches for a weapon, shoot. And shoot to kill.
Dear me, I wish I'd stayed at home.
Quite. I'm going to cut the light.
I say, Holmes, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
How can you imagine all sorts of horrors? Sitting here in the dark like this.
Really, Merriweather.
Oh, did you hear that? Look. There in the middle of the floor. A speck of light. Somebody's raising one of the stone slabs. Look, there's a hand. It is happening when we put some looking right you out.
My brother, look out, he's got a knife. Take your hands off. No, you don't.
Oh, well done, Holmes. Well done. You knocked him out.
Go Mr. Merriweather, if you'll give us some light. That's better.
But I say, Holmes, it's Vincent Spaulding, Wilson's assistant.
Spaulding rubbish. This is John Clay, one of the most dangerous criminals in London. I've been after him for years. Don't be searching, Watson.
But Holmes and God, he's coming too.
Take your filthy hats off, you scarecrow.
No, none of that now.
You may not be aware that I have royal blood in my veins. Oh, lunatic. And when you address me, have the business to say sir and please. Oh, very well. Would you please, sir, march yourself upstairs where we can hand you over to the policemen who are anxiously awaiting your highness's arrival? And be quick about it. Better have another spot of whiskey, Watson.
Oh, thank you. Jervis. Feels good to get the dry clothes and get off the spending hours in that cold cellar. Right, they said it not so much soda, Holmes. You want to drown it?
Oh, you could go on Tracy, my dear fellow.
Oh, thanks. I said, Holmes, when did you first begin to suspect that fellow Spaulding, Clay?
When Mr. Wilson told me he was anxious to work for half price, always suspect anyone or anything that comes too cheap. There's sure to be a motive there.
But how did you guess what the motive was in this case,
I suspected his fondness for photography and his trick of vanishing into the cellar. The cellar. There was the end of this tangled clue. And why was someone so anxious to have our friend Mr. Wilson kept out of the shop for several hours every day? Activities in the cellar again. By the way, that Red-Headed League hoax is one of the cleverest dodges I've come across for some time. Too clever, in fact. When I heard of it, I knew there was only one man who could have originated it, John Clay. We've had our skirmishes. This is the first time we've come face to face.
So you went round to have a look at the shop?
At his trousers, Watson. At the knees of his trousers, to be exact. You saw how wrinkled they were? They spoke of hours of burrowing in the cellar. What for? By tapping on the pavement, I found that the tunnel did not stretch out to the front. Where then? We strolled round the corner, you remember? And there's a butting on our friend's pawn shop. Of course, the inference was clear.
Yes, I see that, but how did you guess that he'd make his attempt tonight?
Perfectly simple, Watson. Perfectly simple. The officers of the Red-Headed League closed this morning. Absence was no longer necessary. The tunnel was completed, but it was essential that Mr. Clay should use it soon or it might be discovered. Tonight being Saturday would be ideal, as it would give him 2 days for escape. QED.
Holmes, your reading is perfect. A long chain, and yet every link rings true.
Well, it saves me from ennui. These little problems help me to escape the commonplaces of existence. Yes, after all, l'homme c'est rien, l'œuvre c'est tout, as Flaubert once wrote to George Sand.
And now let's visit our old friend, Dr. Watson.
I'm up here on the patio, Mr. Foreman. Someone else has joined me.
Admiring the sunset, eh, Doctor?
Yes, my boy. It's a particularly beautiful one.
Where are the puppies this evening?
Asleep on a favorite tweed coat of mine. Just come back from the cleaner.
And you hadn't the heart to move them, I suppose.
No, I hadn't. The little fellow looked so comfortable. In fact, I sometimes wonder if you haven't come here to listen to a dissertation on the behavior. My pipe probably lighted. That's it. The story I'm going to tell you tonight began in 1909. I received a telegram from my old friend telling me that he was leaving his Sussex bee farm, coming to London for a few days. I haven't seen the great man for several months, so naturally I went to Victoria Station to meet him. As the train drew to a stop, the door of a first-class carriage swung open and Holmes, hand outstretched, jumped down onto the platform to greet me.
Watson, my dear fellow, how are you?
Oh, Holmes, my dear boy, it's good to see you again. I missed you.
And are you, old chap?
Any bait?
Yes, Porter, and get a hansom cab, will you?
I wish I'd got a spare room for you.
Don't worry, Watson. I shall be very comfortable at the Diogenes Club. By the way, I trust you're free this evening.
Yes, naturally. What are your plans?
Thought we go to the theatre.
Theatre? Oh, what play do you want to see?
Well, I thought we go to the Savoy Theatre and see the Sherlock Holmes play. I hear it's enormously successful.
Yeah, I know it is, but I've avoided it. I'm told that Sir Claude Horton takes great character, And as for the actor portraying me, my friends tell me it's just a travesty.
Travesty.
Nothing but a bumbling old fool.
Therefore, a visit to the play might be a salutary experience for both of us. In any case, my trip to London is a response to a...
Oh, what's his problem?
Well, he wasn't specific in his telegram. He suggested, however, we attend tonight's performance and discuss the matter with him afterwards.
I see. Well, I suppose if you can sit through it, I can.
Of course you can, old fellow. In any case, you yourself are partly responsible for the play's existence.
How do you mean, huh?
Those sensational stories you wrote of my modest problems, I should have seen where they would eventually lead you. In time, no doubt, we shall be portrayed on the cinematograph as well.
Nonsense, Holmes. That newfangled thing's only a toy.
I think not, Watson. We're on the edge of a strange new mechanical world. In fact, I begin to feel a certain concern about the rumored developments in wireless telegraphy. These predictions. Here comes our porter with a cab. We'll tell the driver to take us straight to the Savoy Theatre.
Just look at that line of people at the box office, Holmes.
Very flattering, old chap.
Possibly, but I hope it doesn't mean that we've got to wait our turn.
Excuse me, gentlemen. You're Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, aren't you?
Yes.
I thought I couldn't be mistaken. My name is Frank Ferris.
And you, Mr. Ferris.
I'm glad to meet you, sir.
The Claude is a box reserved for you. He asked me to see that you are quite comfortable.
Considerate of him.
You'll follow me, please? Neither of you has seen the play before, I understand.
No, Mr. Ferris, we haven't.
I imagine it'll be a strange experience seeing yourselves portrayed on the stage. By the way, I'm playing the part of an old friend of yours, Professor Moriarty.
Oh, indeed. I'm looking forward to a very entertaining evening. I presume that you escape our clutches as usual?
Yes, I do, Mr. Holmes. And I've done it nightly now.
A record that I'm sure Professor Moriarty himself would envy. Had it been for his memorable demise at the Black Falls.
Ah, here we are, gentlemen. This is the box reserved for you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll go back to my dressing room. Oh, I nearly forgot, Mr. Holmes. Sir Claude asked me to give you this note.
Thank you.
No. Well, I'll see.
Very nice fellow for an actor.
Don't be a snob, Watson.
Well, what does the Claude note say?
I'll read it to you. Dear Holmes, since I telegraphed you yesterday, there have been strange developments. In fact, I've been doing some detective work off stage as well as on. Watch the performance tonight and watch the audience too, particularly the occupant of the box opposite yours. Please come to my dressing room as soon as the last curtain has fallen.
He's being very mysterious, and the box opposite ours is empty.
No. Look, Watson, look. Someone has just entered. Confound it, the house lights are out.
The first act's beginning, Holmes.
The first act, yes. Well, sit back and relax, old fellow. Let's see what they've done to us.
Well, what did you think of the first act, Holmes?
Huh? Oh, the first act, yes. I was examining the occupant of the box opposite ours. An attractive young lady, alone and unusually preoccupied. In fact, one might assume that she was trying to hide her face.
Yes, but the play, don't you think it's ridiculous? Just imagine a crown jewel being stolen from Tower London.
Why not? It's been attempted many times.
Anyhow, you must admit that the actor who's portraying me behaves like a blithering idiot. And Sir Claude's interpretation of you is pretty far-fetched.
Far-fetched and flattering, Watson. What poise, what suavity, what a voice. I find myself thoroughly entertained.
You're a strange chap, Holmes. No accounting for this.
Look, Watson, look. The back of the box over there.
Good Lord, I could have sworn a man dodged behind the curtain. I don't think the girl saw him, though.
Looks like a foreigner. I think if the young lady's alone, we'll take the liberty of joining her.
Oh, dash it, there go the lights again. The second act starting now.
And sit down, old fellow. We don't want to attract attention. We'll join her during the next intermission.
Who are you? What do you want with me?
My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my colleague, Dr. Watson.
How do you do, young lady?
I hope you'll forgive this intrusion, but Sir Claude requested that I keep an eye on you during the play tonight.
Please come in and sit down, won't you?
Thank you.
This is very kind of you.
You must forgive my abruptness just now. But I've just been watching Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson being impersonated on the stage. It's rather startling to have the real couple walk into my box.
This I quite understand. By the way, just before the curtain went up on the second act, I thought I noticed a man come into the back of this box and then disappear again. Were you aware of his presence?
No, I didn't see him. But I know who it is. He's been following me for weeks now.
Perhaps you'd like to tell us about it, Miss...
Henshaw. Alicia Henshaw. Yes, I would. As a matter of fact, that's why I'm here tonight. Sir Claude Horton's an old friend of my father's. I went to ask his advice. He did some investigating himself for a few days, and then he found himself a little out of his depth. He decided to telegraph for you, Mr. Holmes. We were going to meet in his dressing room after the performance tonight.
Splendid. And now, Miss Henshaw, what is your story?
It's a strange one, Mr. Holmes, though. I didn't realize just how strange until I first saw this play a few nights ago. You see, my story concerns a stolen ruby.
Good Lord, tonight's play revolves around the same thing.
Exactly. I might as well tell you how it all started. My brother's an officer in the British Army stationed in Egypt. Early this year, he saved the life of a very important native personage in some uprising in Cairo and was rewarded with a magnificent ruby. This jewel he sent to my Uncle Timothy and me. Oh, we're the last of the Henshaws, you see.
Did you know the name of this personage?
He didn't know it, Mr. Holmes. Apparently, the whole affair was hushed up.
I see. Please continue.
But the trouble began shortly after Uncle Timothy and I received the ruby. A decision was published in the papers, and a few days later a message came to us from an Egyptian, Muhammad Ali, laying claim to the stone as one stolen from his family years ago. He sent it who examined the ruby under a lens, Mr. Holmes, and then tapped it with a hammer. It fell to pieces. It was a fraud.
Gracious me, an amazing thing.
I'm sure that's not the end of the story, Miss Henshaw.
Oh, no, Mr. Holmes. I wrote and told my brother what had happened. He became very suspicious and suggested that I investigate the credentials of the expert that examined the stone.
I think I can finish the story for you. The supposed expert was a jewel thief who substituted the paste ruby for the real one, destroyed the imitation, and walked off with the treasure. It's no trick. Of course, you haven't been able to find any trace of the supposed expert.
Well, that's the fact of it, Mr. Holmes. Uncle Timothy and I gave a description to the police, but it was a very vague one, I'm afraid. All the time, Uncle said the man reminded him of a colleague of his many years ago at the university, a professor of mathematics. He couldn't think of his name, but when we first saw the play a few nights ago, he was reminded of it. The name was Moriarty.
Moriarty?
But Moriarty's dead.
Miss Henshaw, you say you have been shadowed for some weeks.
Yes, by an Egyptian. They've stolen the ruby, Mr. Holmes. Why don't they leave me alone?
That, Miss Henshaw, represents a... that I shall be most happy to help you solve.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Again, the last act.
Yes, the last act of this little play, but not, I fear, Miss Henshaw's problems. Let's meet out to the gang in Claude's dressing room, shall we? Well, Holmes, how did you know? Very much, Sir Claude. May I introduce my old friend, Dr. Watson?
How do you do, Sir Claude?
Hi, Doctor. I see you've already made the acquaintance of Miss Henshaw, and she, no doubt, has told you her troubles, eh?
Yes, Sir Claude. And Mr. Holmes has promised to help me.
Splendid. Tell me, how did you like the play?
It was very interesting, Sir Claude. Not quite accurate, of course.
Well, you have to allow us a little dramatic license, you know. What did you think of Rodney, the man who was portraying you, Doctor?
Well, since you mentioned he mumbled so much, I couldn't understand a word.
Oh, come, no, fellow. I think there are times when you're hard to understand yourself.
All rubbish.
Sir Claude, I hope you'll meet the Diogenes Club and then we'll go out and have some supper.
Excellent idea. I'll join you there after I've taken off my makeup.
Splendid.
I think I should be going home now, Sir Claude. I gave my address to Mr. Holmes, so he knows where to get in touch with me.
Very well, Miss Henshaw, and don't worry. I shall give your problem my undivided attention.
I'll take you to your cab, my dear.
Oh, there's no need to, Sir Claude.
Nonsense, I insist.
Right, Miss Henshaw.
Good night, good night. Strange business, Holmes. What do you make of it all?
Very little as yet, but it's a fascinating problem.
Claude really seems to have identified himself with the character of Sherlock Holmes. He gave me the impression that he feels quite capable of solving the case for himself.
Hello. Claude hasn't left, has he? Oh, no, Miss Burns. He's coming back in a moment. How do you like the play, gentlemen? Very much. Your own performance as Moriarty was most convincing.
Yes, indeed, sir. Congratulations. A couple of times there, I had a strange feeling that you you really well, Moriarty.
Well, that's very flattering, Doctor. Oh, hello. Well, it sounds as if there's some trouble at the stage door. Hey, excuse me. Come on, Watson, let's follow him.
Right. Now, that's Claude. He seems upset about something.
Yes. What's happened, Claude?
Oh, there you are, Holmes.
I just seen Miss Hanshaw off in her cab when a foreign-looking fellow came out of a doorway and got into another cab. I heard him tell the driver to follow her. I tried to stop him, but he got away.
Must be the same man we saw in her box during the play.
Yes, Claude, we have her address. I think we'll drive there at once and see that she's arrived safely. We'll collect her at the Diogenes Club.
Well, Holmes, here we go. Off on another adventure.
Yes, and one that may give us an opportunity of crossing swords with Moriarty once more.
Oh, Moriarty's dead. He was killed when you and he fell over the precipice in 91.
He was supposed to have been killed, just as I was, but his body was never found. It's impossible, or rather possible, that he returned to pour into the ears of Colonel Moran a story as unlikely and as true as the one I related to you on that April evening in 1894. One can never be sure of death, old chap, until one has touched the cold skin of a corpse.
Dr. Watson's story will continue in just a few seconds. Hardly time for me to tell you about a really great Petri wine. Petri California Muscatel. Did you ever walk through a vineyard early in the morning and pick a big, juicy Muscat grape right off the vine? Mm-hmm. If you've ever done that, then you know what to expect when you taste Petri Muscatel. Petri Muscatel is the color of golden sunshine with a flavor to match. Serve Petri Muscatel with a wonderful wine. And now back to tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure. The famous pair have become involved in a strange mystery concerning a stolen ruby, a frightened girl, and an Egyptian who appears to be shadowing her. As we rejoin our story, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson are standing in a darkened alleyway adjoining the girl's house.
Look. That Egyptian fellow. He's pacing up and down in front of our house.
Yes, therefore we may assume she's safely inside. Uh-huh. Seems to be getting up.
He's coming this way.
Batten yourself against the wall. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Who are you, please?
We are friends of Miss Hanshaw, and we're very curious to know why you've been following us.
Sorry that I cannot answer your questions, sir.
Now, look here, my man. You're talking to Sherlock Holmes.
You are Mr. Sherlock Holmes? I am greatly honored to meet you, sir. All my life I have known of you. All my life I have admired you.
Then in that case, perhaps you'll answer my questions. Why have you been following Miss Hanshaw?
Because it is my...
What do you mean your duty?
Perhaps I should have said my destiny, Mr. Holmes. For 2 generations now, the family of Arabi, of which I am a member, have dedicated their lives to finding the stolen treasure of Asyut.
Well, so that going to do with Miss Hanshaw.
The treasure of Asyut is a giant ruby. It was stolen many years ago from the family of Muhammad Ali. A few months ago, Miss Hanshaw received a mysterious ruby. I have found out many things, Mr. Holmes. I have many sources of information.
Well, I must regard you in the light of a rival detective in this case.
I hardly call myself a detective, Mr. Holmes. My life is dedicated to only one problem. Miss Hanshaw now says the jewel was stolen from her. I do not believe it. That is why I watch her. If I am wrong this time, and I do not think I am wrong, then my quest always it will go on.
Permit me to wish you the best of luck, sir.
Good night, gentlemen.
Why did you let him go, huh? Why not? He's frightening Miss Hanshaw. Not molesting an old chap. In fact, it might be a good thing if somebody is keeping an eye on her. Meanwhile, Watson, let's see if we can find a cab and get back to the Diogenes Club. I don't want to keep Sport waiting.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. He and another gentleman came in about 5 minutes ago. They went up to the library. The other gentleman has just left.
I see. Thank you. This way, Watson. I'm sorry, Sir Claude. We kept you waiting. We took a little longer. Sir Claude, we haven't started with him. Holmes. I found the answer.
late. No. I can't stand up. You're ill. What are you trying to tell me? Ruby. Moriarty. Cancer. The answers. The book.
The answer's in the book.
The book. God. Holmes. He's been stabbed. He's dead. He's muttering something about the ruby. Moriarty. Twice he said.
Still in his hand.
Of Edgar Allan Poe.
That was one in the page. Letter, thank you, Shapr3D. Deliver your message. Come on, Watson. We want to catch a murderer and a thief. We must go back to the spy theater as quickly as we can.
Why do you suppose Charles was murdered?
Because it was too curious. Investigating the problem of the stone ruby and I found out something. Something he promised to tell me at the supper, you remember? So he was killed by a man who came with him to the club tonight. Fortunately, he gave me a clue. By indicating Poe's story of the purloined letter.
But I still don't see how that helps you.
Well, it leads us to the ruby. The premise of Poe's story is that the most obvious hiding place is the safest. Now, what physical object was most prominent on the stage of tonight's play?
By Jove. A ruby.
Exactly. How better can you hide a stolen ruby than by exhibiting it night after night as a stolen ruby before the eyes of thousands?
Well, you mean you expect to find it the property room backstage?
Precisely. That and a murderer. Wait for us, Cabby. Come on, Watson. You have your revolver, old chap?
Yes, sir.
I'll keep it handy. Now, visit may not be unexpected. Unlocked. That's good. Come on.
Look, Holmes, look. The doorkeeper. He's slumped over his desk.
Take him chloroform. We'll take the liberty of following this man.
What a dark and empty theater.
Now, where will the stage properties be kept, I wonder? Over the back of the room, I have the little fellow. That's it. Now, look over there.
Oh, it's kept. It's not. Property department.
And it's on. Oh, this is frighteningly easy. Just look out for a trap. Now, let's see.
Look. There's Ruby. Lying on that trash.
Oh, step under the lantern, Watson. Exactly. It's as I thought. This is no paste stage bed. It's a genuine ruby. The light of this lantern is very hard.
Smashed our lantern.
Yes, it's got there right for powerful. No flash to indicate where he's firing from. Of course, he's baited his trap so neatly that he knows exactly where we are.
Take a shot at him. I can't see anything, but at least let him know we're armed.
Now move your position quickly, Watson.
Just miss me, Holmes. This is hopeless shooting in the dark.
Yes. I've got to switch the stage on. Keep him occupied, old fellow, will you? When I try to find the light switches.
I've got him. But he can still shoot. Find it.
Keep your eyes still, Watson. We're turning it off.
I'm in the
Walking away. After Watson. You jump over the... Made the burgers fun, Watson. I should have remembered that the exit door is always open from the inside.
No, he didn't get away, Holmes. Look on the floor there. That Egyptian fella.
You got wounded too badly, old
I don't
chap.
care if I have. He was trying to kill us. Now it's a shoulder wound. He's fainted. Infernal scoundrel.
No, he's a very gallant man. Undoubtedly, he was trying to save us as you shot him just now.
Holmes, what on earth are you talking about? Obviously, he's Moriarty.
No, Watson. Moriarty just escaped from the door you heard clang a few moments ago.
What's this man doing here?
As a fellow detective, undoubtedly he followed us. Perhaps he preceded us when Moriarty started shooting. This man tried to capture him and got wounded by you for his pains.
Then who is Moriarty? He must be someone connected with this theft.
It's obvious. Moriarty is Moriarty.
What? You mean Frank Ferrers, the fellow that played the part on the stage?
Again, remember Poe's story of the purloined letter.
But why didn't you recognize him?
Remember, I haven't seen him for 20 years, and you haven't forgotten his genius for disguise, have you?
Incredible audacity.
How better could Moriarty conceal himself than by announcing nightly to the theater-going public that he was Professor Moriarty?
Then he killed the Claude.
Of course he did. Claude must have persuaded Moriarty to go to the club with him. Probably he hoped to expose him in front of me, but Moriarty found out that Claude knew too much. Yes. So he stabbed him. Rushed back here to bait his trap for us.
Yes, but how did he know we'd walk into it?
Well, he knew that if Sir Claude had guessed his secret, then I certainly would, and so he was waiting for us.
Well, it's coming through. How are you feeling, my man?
The ruby. The ruby. You find the ruby?
Yes. Here it is, sir. Tell me. Is it the ruby of Muhammad Ali?
No. It is a fine stone, but it is not the one for which I have searched all my life. And so my endless quest must go on.
Mention again. Poor devil. Fine mess I made of this case, Watson.
Well, you recovered the ruby?
Yes, look at it, old fellow. Before I turn it over to the Santor, look at it well. Probably its every facet stands for a bloody deed.
It's a beautiful stone.
Yet this lovely bauble must have brought his life.
And that devil Moriarty still goes free.
But one day, Watson, and may the day come soon, I shall meet Moriarty again. And when that happens, and I finally bring him to justice, then and only then, you write Vinny to the character of Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
And now for our weekly visit with the good Dr. Watson. See if he's expecting us.
Come in.
Ah, good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Campbell. What time you got here? Go up a chair and make yourself comfortable.
Thanks. Well, you got the old black dispatch box out again, I see. Suppose you've been going over your notes on tonight's adventure.
Yes, right, my boy. This may interest you. Mrs. Watson figured prominently in the story.
You did?
Yes, in fact, if it hadn't been for some remarkably quick thinking on her part, Holmes and I might have... There I go again, telling you the end of the story. I forgot it.
Well, how did it begin, Doctor?
On a winter evening in 1887. I've been married some months, and consequently I haven't seen much of my old friend Sherlock Holmes.
Well, you're still living in Baker Street, I suppose.
Yes, my boy, but we could persuade him to come round and see us. Time to time I'd heard some vague accounts of his doings, of his summons to Odessa, the case of the Trepov murder, and of his clearing up the singular tragedy of the Atkinson brothers. But to get back to tonight's story, my wife and I had just finished an excellent dinner. I remember and set ourselves down for an evening of pleasant reminiscence. She was stitching away on a piece of extra petit pois, and I was at my desk balancing figures in the family account. After a few moments, my wife looked up to me.
John, dear, don't look so troubled.
Oh, was I looking trouble?
Well, you've been darling at a comfort for 10 minutes now. What's the matter, dear? Don't the figures add up correctly?
Oh, yes. Not correctly. In fact, they tell a very pretty story. After buying my practice, putting up all my outstanding accounts, I find we have nearly £150 left in the diary that Mr. Shorter has left for us.
160, is it, dear? I'm doing the same sum this morning.
Well, but 160. In any case, Mary dear, the point I was going to make is we don't need the money just now. My practice is picking up splendidly, and I was thinking we might invest it in something really sound, of course.
Who's been talking to you, John? Dr. Wilson again.
Well, as it happens, I did bump into him at the hospital today. He could put us onto something very good in Peruvian silver. What do you think of the idea?
Well, darling, the fact is, I'd almost decided to make a business investment with it myself. I thought I'd surprise you.
Well,
Now, let me tell you about John.
Oh,
Yesterday, when you were out of your gown, a most charming man called here, a Mr. Ted Barber. He introduced himself as a friend of Mrs. Cecil Forrester. He said he was certain we'd be interested in his new company. And he talked so convincingly that, well, I'm afraid I promised him I'd buy some stock in the company.
really, what sort of company is it?
Well, I didn't quite understand that part of it, but it sounded wonderful. He left the prospectus. It's in the right-hand drawer of the desk. It's something to do with a wonderful new method that's been discovered by an American chemist, Paul or Paradis or something.
Oh, let's have a look to it says. Company formed to exploit the amazing new metal discovered by Dr. Paradis. Paradol preferred stock. The potentialities of this new alloy are measurable. Fourth dimension has been conquered, but ideal dislocation is an accomplished fact. Excuse my dear child. This prospectus is absolute poppycock.
And now, John, you mustn't be stubborn. I think at least we should investigate. The man said that if we went to the laboratories, Dr. Paradis would give us a demonstration himself.
But Mary dear, the fourth dimension. I mean to say, obviously, fraud.
That's what everyone says when a new invention comes out. And this might be an opportunity for us to make a lot of money, John.
Mary, I...
To please me, dear?
Well, I can't argue with you very long, Mary. All right. I'll take you to the laboratory in the morning, but I warn you, I'll show this Dr. Paradis up for the charlatan of the year.
Dr. Paradis will be with you both in a moment.
Thank you, ma'am.
She's just concluding an experiment.
She?
Dr. Paradis is a woman, then?
Oh, yes, madam, and a very brilliant one, too. Excuse me.
Oh, that's the last straw. The whole thing sounded like an obvious fraud, and now we get here and find there are woman doctors at the back of it all.
Just because she's a woman, it doesn't mean to say... I'm Dr. Paradis.
Oh, how do you do, madam? I'm Dr. This is my wife, Mrs. Watson.
Oh, yes. Come into the laboratory, won't you? Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Paradis.
Well, we're just wasting your time. We're not really interested. There's a door, you know.
John, don't mutter. Mr. Barber told me that he had called on you, Mrs. Watson, and that you were very interested in my invention. Oh, yes, I am. That's why I persuaded my husband to come down with me and see a demonstration. I'll be most happy to show you everything I can. It's a practical example of the application of my work. This chamber you see in front of you is made complete of my new alloy.
What's the thing do?
My new alloy.
Dials and switches and things. Why is it so big? Do people get inside it?
They can.
Huh?
Though if they do, they're liable to find themselves transported many miles from here. Come inside, won't you?
Oh, what a lot of lots.
Now, John. Before I give you the demonstration, I want you both to see that there is no exit from inside this chamber. No trapdoors or anything. The only exit is the door we just came through.
Yes, it's just like an airtight metal room.
That's it, isn't it? Now let's go outside.
You're an airtight metal room, Pooper. It's good
I'll show you how the
morning.
machine operates.
At 5:30 a.m.
Yes, Dr. Paradis.
I'm going to demonstrate the Paradol chamber to Dr. and Mrs. Watson.
Very well. The usual time?
Yes, please, Albert. Now, my assistant goes inside the chamber. I close this metal door on him, so. What are you going to do with him? Within a matter of seconds, he will be 7 miles from here.
Really, madam, you...
Please, Doctor, you're a scientific man. At least give me the opportunity of demonstrating my work.
I'm sorry.
Now, I adjust these dials, turn on the electrical generator, and...
It's a woman scientist for you.
Good Lord, what an amazing business.
Now open the door,
I'm
Dr.
just
Watson, and look inside, please.
I'm just kidding, Poopers.
Great Scott, he's gone. Dr. Paradis, will you explain
Sad
this to me?
scientist.
That. My metal Paradol is an unnatural alloy.
What?
It causes a dislocation in the
You're
wall
an
space and
unnatural
enables us to enter the
alloy.
fourth dimension.
You're
You see
a
time in the
person.
dimension.
Oh.
Any object in the past, present, or future can be described precisely in 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time.
What's this machine of yours?
The alloy of Paradol, combined with the great force of electricity, has created a new force. This element is controlled by these dials, and it is possible to move in 4 dimensions at once. Thus, bodies or other objects can be transported great distances away, all in the twinkling of an eye. I call
What a
this
big
work
sticker.
the process. Teleportation, I call it.
Well, I'm completely confused. All my scientific training tells me this is impossible, and yet, I wonder if you could give us another demonstration.
Perhaps you yourself would like to be teleported somewhere.
Certainly not. Gracious we know.
No, I think John would be very unhappy in the 4th dimension. He wouldn't belong.
You said that any object could be moved. How about that brown paper parcel on the table over there?
Certainly. It only contains some company circulars. I suggest you write your initials on it so that you can identify it later.
Oh, very well. J-H-W. There you are.
Where do you want it dispatched to?
Send it to my house. I'll give you the address.
That won't be necessary.
This is amazing business.
Good, John. Exciting. Boss, now I just dialed once more and...
Taylor, we are coming up on like.
Oh, it's impossible. Come on, man. Let's get a cab and race back there as fast as we can. Well, goodbye, Doctor.
Goodbye, Doctor. It hasn't really come together like I really wanted it to.
Now, John, you must admit you're just as excited as I am.
All right, I'm enormously intrigued. Let me just get my lecture book here. Here we are. Dr. Paradis is a clever woman. Even so, my intelligence tells me it's impossible for the package to have reached here before us. Ah, here we are.
Ah, there you are, Master. Mum, just in time for lunch. Tell me, Annie, did the package arrive for us? Oh, yes, it did, Mum. I put it on your table.
Great Scott. How was it delivered, Annie?
Well, now, that's the funny thing about it, sir. I don't know. I went out to polish the brass on the door knocker a few minutes ago, and there was the parcel, lying on the doorstep. No one had rung the bell or anything. I didn't know how it got there. Thank you, Annie. You could go now. Yes, Mum. Well, John, what do you say now?
There's a miracle's been performed. I don't believe my eyes. Look, there are my initials on the package. Mary? If you don't mind, after lunch,
You'll go round to Baker Street and tell Stella Holmes about this.
Mind, dear?
Of course not, dear.
Good. It'll be nice to see Holmes again anyway.
Dr. Watson, how nice to see you again.
Hello, Mrs. Hudson. How are you, my dear?
Oh, I'm just fine. Oh, you're looking grand, sir. Marriage agrees with my again, sir.
Oh,
Marriage agrees with you, sir.
Mr. Holmes in?
Aye, sir. And I'm very glad you're seeing him. He's no been acting like himself. Locking his door. And only unlocking it for me when I give him a password. And he's hardly touched his foot for the last 3 days. To tell you the truth, Dr. Watson, I'm awful worried about him.
Really? Well, I'll go up to him.
He'll be glad to see you, I'm sure.
Yes? Who is it?
It's me. What?
Oh, possibly. I'm not taking any chances.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Surely you know my voice after all these years.
John H. What? Tell me what your middle initials stand for, and I'll let you in.
It stands for Hamish.
What?
My dear fellow, how are you?
I am fine and delighted to see you again, Holmes. Incidentally, why all this rigmarole about locked doors and passwords?
Well, Professor Moriarty has decided that it's high time to settle his score with me. There have been several attempts on my life lately. Twice I've been attacked in the streets, and only yesterday a shot was fired at me through the window you see broken there.
Lord Holmes, you must be careful.
I am being very careful. That's why I indulged in what you refer to as all this rigmarole. But, well, enough of my problems. What's on your mind? There's a sparkle in your eye and an air of excitement that tells me that you've some news to impart.
Well, I must say there is something.
Of course there is, my dear fellow. Come on, tell me about it.
Have you ever heard of a new metal called Paradol and its inventor, Dr. Paradis?
Oh, yes, indeed I have. I received a prospectus concerning it the other day.
Well, what do you think of the idea?
Oh, obviously it's rubbish designed to fool the gullible public into buying shares. Don't tell me that you were taking it, right?
Oh, no, of course not, Holmes. Naturally, as a scientific man, I knew it wasn't rubbish. My wife, however, had come to be involved in the concern. So today, to prove to her that the whole thing was a fraud, we went down to the laboratory and met this Dr. Paradis.
Oh, did you indeed?
In the first place, let me tell you, this Dr. Paradis is a woman.
A woman?
As you will imagine, I didn't have any difficulty in discrediting our theories. In fact, I'm afraid I made her seem rather stupid. However, we didn't stay there long enough for her to give us a demonstration. And that's the way that it was, Holmes. When we got back to our house, the initial package was there, waiting for us.
Childish trick. Obviously, the Paradol chamber contains a ingeniously hidden trap door, through which the assistant disappeared and into the package. A fast cab then took it to your home before you could get there.
So really? Well, yes, of course, that's exactly how I explained the thing to Mary.
Was she pressed the thing?
Yes, she was. But you know how women are. I tried to tell her the whole thing was a fraud. She's very obstinate. I was hoping perhaps that you will help me expose the concern.
This is necessary, old fellow.
Such an obvious fraud. However, for your sake, I'll be glad to do anything I can.
I thought we might go down to the laboratory late tonight when nobody's there. Take a look at that Paradol chamber a little more closely.
Rather good idea. After being cooped up here for 3 days, it'll be a pleasure to get some night air and indulge in a little simple burglarizing.
Shall I cook for you here?
No, wait a minute, dear fellow. It's much too dangerous. I'll be in a hansom cab outside your house about 11:30 tonight. How's that?
Splendid. Quite like old times, isn't it, Holmes?
Yes, it is, old chap, though I think that this time, for Mrs. Watson's sake, I must try and keep you out of trouble.
I think that's not bad. I don't know how to make that shape sexy. You know, I don't know how to make it look good. The angled forward grip
Midnight, Holmes.
Yes, Watson.
looks great because it's got all those extra angles, right?
Oh, rubbish, Holmes. You talk as if Mary was a tyrant.
Don't get angry, old chap. I was
You can't have it too heavy of an angle because then it locks your hand in, and you don't want to lock that person's hand.
like that, will you? I took precaution of bringing this lantern.
Too angled back to match it because it looks like a shark tooth and it's not sexy. Plus, it's somewhat dangerous because it's already not very big.
Yeah.
You don't want that hitting you.
Who is this child's play so far? Come on.
Yeah, the Paradol chamber over there.
And it'll lose its strength the more angle we get, the more torque that'll put when it gets dropped on it.
Quite an elaborate contraption.
Door's been left open. Go in and take a look at the inside of it.
Not so, Miss Watson. If this is the only entrance, and the two of us walked in, it'd be too easy to slam the door shut on us.
I suppose so. You go in, I'll keep watch out here.
All right. Oh, I trust that in a few minutes I won't find myself lying on your doorstep.
Holmes, there are times when your sense of humor is a little strained. Holmes! Holmes, you all right? What is it, Holmes? The body of a dead woman. She's been shot.
There's not much mistake.
Let me come and look. The one is Dr. Paradis. Yes, it's him.
Watson, get out of here. Don't you see that?
Good Lord, someone has slammed the door shut on us.
Yes, my dear fellow. We walked into a trap very neatly. I'm afraid that when imprisoned in what appears to be an airtight metal chamber, the only person who can help us to get out of it again is a corpse.
Dr. Watson's story will continue in a second. It's time for me to remind you that good food always tastes better when served together with good wine. Did you know that Petri makes 2 wonderful mealtime wines? Wines especially made to go with food? Well, they do. Petri California Burgundy and Petri California Sauterne. You want a rich, hearty red wine, a wine that's great with any meat or meat dish, you just try a Petri Burgundy. And if you want a wine that's perfect with chicken or fish, try a delicate golden-colored Petri Sauterne. Petri Burgundy if you want a red wine, Petri Sauterne if you want white. But always a Petri wine if you want a good wine. Now back to tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure. It was in the early hours of a winter's morning in 1887. The famous pair, while investigating the mystery of the laboratory in the East End of London, have been trapped in an airtight metal cabinet, their only companion being the dead body of a woman scientist. As we rejoin our story, Sherlock Holmes and his old friend Dr.
A
Watson
woman
listen
scientist.
intently as footsteps approach what appears to be their metal coffin.
Someone outside. It's hiding back the mental panel.
Good evening, gentlemen.
That voice. It's Dr. Paradis' assistant. Let us out of here.
Or should I be more precise, Mr. Holmes, and say good morning?
Hello, Moriarty.
Moriarty, you scoundrel. I just get my hands on him.
Dr. Watson, wish you could get over your dislike for me. For my own part, I'm genuinely sorry that my trap had to catch you, too. I'm rather happy that you're not on my side. But slavish admiration of you gives your friend Sherlock Holmes must be highly gratifying.
Never mind about all that. What do you think you're up to?
It's obvious, my dear Watson. The whole scheme was a plan to lure me out of my safe hiding by presenting an intriguing problem, and one that victimized the wife of my old friend. You knew it would get back to my ears, didn't you, Moriarty?
Yes, exactly.
But why did you murder this Paradise woman?
That's equally obvious, my dear Watson. It serves her purpose in presenting a most convincing scientific front. As soon as the trap was baited, she was a liability. She might tell tales, and so she was killed. Like so many other of your accomplices, my dear Professor.
Precisely. Now, my dear fellows, I'm afraid that I must close this panel and say goodbye. Quite sorry to have to kill you, but you're becoming dreadfully in my way.
And how do you plan to kill us, Moriarty?
By doing nothing more than closing this panel. I could be frightening the bat to release deadly gases into the chamber, poisonous snakes, or something equally colorful. But quite frankly, it seems so much simpler just to shut you in. Your oxygen supply won't last very long, you know. And for your benefit, Dr. Watson, I may tell you that Paradol, whatever its other shortcomings as a metal, is bulletproof. Goodbye, meddling fool!
Seems nothing for us to do but look around and ascertain our chances of escape.
Holmes, I don't like this. We're in a very nasty situation.
My dear Watson, sometimes you're a master of understatement. Just as I thought.
What have you found now?
Sliding panel. Behind the dead woman. It leads us to a passageway. A passageway that has been bricked up only within the last 2 hours. But long enough, I'm afraid, to think it's possible. No, there's no escape here. Over the back. We will get you. That's it.
Well, what are we going to do now?
I was just estimating the cubic capacity in this chamber. Yes, I should ask you to play for at least another 8 hours. I recommend a brief sleep to refresh us and also to conserve our oxygen supply.
Sleep? Who would sleep at a time like this?
I can. Maybe so.
I'll try, Holmes, but I know perfectly well I shan't close my eyes.
Wake up, Hudson, wake up.
Yes, Mary. Oh, you. I just believe myself. I don't try.
I'm afraid so, old chap.
What time?
Just after 7 in the morning.
How long did you estimate our oxygen supply would last?
Probably about another hour.
It's just possible that some worker will come from the laboratory and let us out.
I can't put much on that if I were you.
Suppose not.
It's got too much on it. It's just got too much. It's got this in the front. It's got this. Whatever this is not. Whatever this is, it's not working. Then you got this, which, you know, this is probably the best thing about it. This has got the best thing going on for it, which is still a 4 out of 10. This whole thing, 2.5 out of 10. I gotta give it a 2.5 out of 10. Whatever. This is one of the ones where you try, you come in. The last 2 have been successes. This has not been it. But I've got to make it rounded. I can't make that cool fucking dragon scale one.
John, it must have been a miserable night.
Well, Holmes and Dr. Watson have been getting themselves in trouble again. There's no time for your heavy-handed daddy knives. There's the body of a murdered woman inside that chamber. It was killed by Professor Moriarty. Professor Moriarty? Glad you didn't get my message sooner. Your message?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, I wish you'd tell me how you got your message to Scotland Yard.
Well, ever since these recent attacks on my life, I had my delightful band of ragamuffins, the Big Street Irregulars, watching my house with fixed watches, 2 at a time. I gave the boys instructions to follow me whenever I went out. And if ever I did not reappear within 3 hours, they were to report to our friend Lestrade at Scotland Yard.
Holmes, you're a maid. You think of everything. Just a minute, gentlemen, just a minute.
I didn't get no message from any of your Baker Street Irregulars. You didn't? No, sir. Oh, I did find a couple of the boys tied up when we came in here just now. If you didn't get a message from them, how did you come here so opportunely? That's easy, Watson. Because Mrs. Watson here came and fetched me.
You did, Mary? But how on earth?
Go on, Mom. Tell him.
Well, it's very, very simple. When John came back with me yesterday, Mr. Holmes, he was over elaborately casual in his references to the burial chamber. So, of course, I knew at once the 2 of you were going to investigate the matter. I also caught him oiling his revolver after dinner. I didn't know that you slipped out last night, John. But as soon as I woke up this morning, I realized what had happened. So I went straight to Scotland Yard for inspection. God and got him here with him.
Why, Mary, you clever little thing. Isn't she clever, darling home?
Mrs. Watson, this has been a salutary experience. Will you allow me to congratulate you on your deductive ability?
That's very nice of you, Mr. Holmes, but I really don't deserve any compliments, if you don't mind my saying so. It was elementary, my dear Mr. Holmes.
Elementary. That doesn't look so bad when you put it like that. It's all right, and then you think, hey, this is just for California and New York. Okay, don't get so crazy. This is just the option, one of many options.
That'd be very nice. All ready for tonight's story, Doctor?
Yes, my boy. Here's your shirt.
Thank you, sir.
My story begins on a June night in 1889. My wife and I spent a quiet evening at home, I remember. It was just about the hour that a man gives his first yawn and glances at the clock. The tranquility of the scene was broken by the discordant jangling of our front doorbell.
An emergency call for you, I suppose, Doctor.
Not exactly. It turned out to be a certain Mrs. Isa Whitney, an old friend of my wife's who come to us in trouble. Her husband, she told us, had been missing for 48 hours, and knowing him to be the victim of the shocking habit of taking opium, she was convinced that he was lying drugged and stupefied in some foul den amid the London waterfront.
And I suppose you went out to try to find him?
Yes, Mr. Burkell, I did.
All right, we were going to cut it off there. I don't know how long we've been working on this. GripMotion hand stop. Let's check the live stream. How long has it been, people? 2.5 hours. Thank you so much. Everyone who's commented, left a like, all 0 of you. Fuck you, YouTube, for not sending me tens of thousands of people. Just send them my way. We're just live streaming right now. We're here. We're in the public's domain. Come on, stop by. Spend your time watching me do my thing. Come in, type with your fingers on the keyboard your thoughts into the chat so I can read them and give you a response. Whoa! Life, baby. Yeah. Anyway, great live stream. It's not so much about the live streams, it's more about being here, making content, long form content. Don't know why, no reason. We just did something. I don't know. Is it worth anything? I don't know. Maybe, hopefully. We'll find out. Love you guys. Peace.